Marie Curie?
Marie Curie.
Marie Curie?
Yeah.
She didn't invent anything.
She didn't invent anything. No, she discovered a few things, though.
I don't think she did. I think she just started a charity.
Transfer fees up. Season tickets up. High prices up. Why the bloomin' heck are you still up?
Topical sport and debate worth staying awake for. The Two Mics.
All night long.
On Talk Sport.
All night long.
Look at the light!
When it comes to me and a cat, it's obvious who the boss is. There's only one winner.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics, and I'm delighted to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Well, a very good morning to you as well, Mike. And
Yes.
I have to say, this could be a great day. Never mind good, it could be great.
Yes,
you know
it
why
could.
it could be great?
Tell me.
Well, we could have two British tennis players,
Yeah.
two British tennis players
Yeah.
through to the semi-finals of the Australian Open,
One
right?
from Scotland and one from Hungary.
No, two British tennis
Yes.
players,
Yeah,
okay?
no, you're quite
Can you get
right.
that right?
Yeah, I was just joking.
Joking?
No, just joking, yeah.
You're joking about the nationality of British heroes playing on foreign
Yes,
soil?
I'm very much in favour of both of them.
That's
as you
typical of you.
As you well know.
Well, I always have been in favour of both of them, so...
That's not true at all.
Put that in your
You have
private
not always
smoker.
been in favour of Andy Murray.
I've never, ever criticised Andy Murray in my
Really?
life.
Are you
No.
sure?
Even when he held up the old shirt, I always said that was only a bit of a joke. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
Okay.
He's a thoroughly decent chap, and
Yeah.
I expect him to get through to the semi-final. And then take on Djokovic again in the final.
Yes.
Because Jocko is playing Fedo in the semi, isn't he?
Djokovic against Federer.
Yes,
Is that
that's
what
right.
you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, okay. Well,
What's
it's
your
not
problem?
Jocko against Federer. That's
No,
not
Jocko
what
and
anybody
Federer,
says.
as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Then we've got...
See, Victoria Azarenka's lost the first set already. That's unusual. In the women's singles quarter-final. The one before Joe Konta takes over.
Who to?
To her opponent.
Yeah, and
to
who
whom
is
she
her
has
opponent?
never left. I'm not sure who it is, actually.
You see, you're talking complete and utter trash again, as
Well,
usual.
no, she's lost the first set. That's not crash,
But,
that's true.
Yes, I know, but you don't even know she's playing.
I'm not sure who she's playing.
Well, get your
You're
facts
the-
right, will
well,
you,
you're the
before you
tennis
start
expert.
making these sort of
You're the
statements.
tennis expert.
Yes.
You tell me who she's playing.
No, because I have not briefed myself on this one, because I'm fully briefed on the next big one coming up, which, of course, is our own girl.
Joe Konta.
Joe.
Who's she playing?
Hey?
Who's she playing?
She's playing the Chinese girl.
Yeah, what's her name?
Well, I never pronounce her name because I always get criticised for mispronouncing
Shuai
it.
Zhang.
Shuai Zhang, and I don't want to upset our millions of Chinese listeners who, by the way, are picking up in numbers by the night.
Indeed.
Now, what I wanted to tell you was, the other reason why I think it's going to be a brilliant day...
You're going to tell me Everton are going to beat Manchester City, aren't
Well,
you?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. And then that sets up an all Merseyside final. Is that February the 28th, by the way?
I think it is late
27,
February,
28,
yeah.
something like
It's
that.
late February.
But anyway, I'll find the date because obviously I'll...
Well, you'll need to get the date because you'll need to get tickets. Apparently,
Well, I hope
Manchester
so.
City are having trouble selling tickets for the game tonight, which surprises me.
Well,
Sergio Aguero's had to issue a plea for them to come and support the club.
Is that right?
Apparently, yeah.
Really? Oh, dear. Well, I won't be short of Evertonians there because, of course, we're very, very keen to win a cup as we haven't won anything since 95.
Yeah.
And we've had a terrible record in the League Cup. Never won
We
it.
haven't got much of a record in the Premier League, to be
Twice
honest.
beaten in the final.
One win in 11. I
Say?
said we haven't got much of a record in the Premier
Well,
League at the moment,
it's,
either.
look, it's just going through one of those troughs in the season, but I think it'll all get better.
Yeah.
So that's all terrific stuff if it all happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be so stressful and so tense watching that Everton City game. And I have to say, I will say congratulations to Liverpool for getting through to the final, obviously.
Yeah.
But my God, didn't Stoke put up a fight to try and get back that 1-0 deficit that they took from their own ground
They
to
have
Anfield?
got the very important away goal, of course, which could have been crucial last night, but it turns out it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Who's got the away goal?
Well, Manchester City have got the away goal. haven't they?
Manchester City got an away goal, yeah.
So, I mean, if they say get to 1-0
Yes.
and it gets to extra time,
Yes.
they will have an advantage, won't
Yeah,
they?
but Everton have got 2 goals and Manchester City have only got 1.
Yeah, but they've got an away goal, though.
That is
But they've got an away goal.
It
counts double.
Will you shut up about the away goal?
Right.
I'm telling you, if you've got 2 goals against 1 in any competition,
It's got
in
an away
in
goal.
a 2-legged tie, you have a distinct advantage.
Possibly,
Don't
very
you realise
possibly.
that?
Well, yeah, not necessarily, though, because the away goal counts double. That's my point.
Now, our girl is described as the shy, modest, U2-loving foodie.
Yeah.
Our latest tennis sensation, OK?
Joe Konta.
Yeah. She was born in Sydney, Australia.
She was, yeah.
2 Hungarian parents.
That's right.
Who are named Gabriella and Gabor.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine having parents whose both Christian names began with G.
Well, like George and Georgina.
Well, it's like she could call her parents Gigi.
Or Gregory and
Yeah.
Georgina. It's not that unusual.
Right, she was introduced to tennis by her parents at the age of 8.
Yeah.
At 14, she headed to Spain for 15 months of training. In 2005, the family moved to Eastbourne in East Sussex.
Yeah.
She won her first ITF singles title in 2008, age 16. She became a British citizen in May 2012.
Yeah.
She makes her Wimbledon debut in June 2012. She got in on a wild card.
She makes her? You mean she made her?
She made. On a wild card.
Well, you're reading a CV.
No, I'm just reading her track record.
Yeah.
And last September, she reached the last 16 of a Grand Slam for the first time in the US Open.
Yeah.
Before this tournament, she was ranked world number 47. But
47?
Yes, 47.
Wow, there's that number again.
Yeah, absolutely. That is amazing, isn't it? And she had career prize money totalling £600,000.
She's still ranked number 47, by the way.
No, well, she is until after this tournament, and she'll be ranked much higher.
So when I say still, i.e. in the present, in which we are all living, she's still ranked number 47.
Yeah.
Which could be a lucky omen, of course, given that is the most frequently occurring random number, as I've often told you.
Yeah, her boyfriend's name is Clowder.
Clowder?
Yeah.
Okay, where's he from?
Don't know, weird name.
Why is it a weird name?
Well, how many Clowders do you know?
Don't know any.
No, exactly.
That doesn't make it a weird name. It just makes it an unusual name.
All right, it's an unusually weird name,
It's not weird.
All right, it's a weirdly
not a
unusual
British
name. Anyway, just so I'd let you know, she's only 24. She's already earned £600,000, so I would say she's a success already in life.
I think she is, yeah, absolutely.
Most people aged 24 have not earned £600,000, have they?
That's very true.
No, exactly, you see, so I know what I'm talking about there.
You do.
And finally, to tell
Now,
you...
do you know how she did in the Australian Open last year?
Hang on. First female Brit to reach the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam for 32 years.
Yeah. And do you know who that was that did it the last time?
Yes, I do. It was Joe Jury.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you can remember things from 32 years ago.
Yes.
You just can't remember anything from yesterday.
Yes.
Dan, do you know what she did last year in the Australian Open?
Tell me.
She reached the first round of qualifying, lost in straight sets.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, in straight sets.
So that's quite an improvement. If you were charting somebody's career to go from, losing in the first round of qualifying to making the quarterfinals, that's tremendous.
That's right.
And her record against Shui Zhang is they've each won a game against each other.
Have they? Okay.
So it's anybody's game.
Anybody's game.
Yeah.
And also, she started this year. No, she started last year, I'm sorry, as 146 in the world. She's now 47.
47.
What else can I tell you about
I don't know.
this
What
lady?
else can you read out of the book?
She is very coy about her boyfriend.
Yeah.
She says, I'm not going to tell you his name. But
you've already given his name away.
Yeah, I know, because I'm a Secret Truth and Justice.
I see.
And a trained observer. His name is Clowder. And that's Cloud with an ER on the end, by the way.
Okay.
Clowder.
All right.
And she says, you can call him the boyfriend, okay? But he is Keith Clowder. Oh, no, sorry. His name is Kether Clowder, so it's got an even more unusual name.
So what is his actual name?
His name is Kether Clowder.
Right.
He's a former tennis coach.
Right.
She shared a rare moment in the spotlight with him at the BT Sports Action Woman Awards last month. That's where we got the only picture of him, okay?
All right. Is he a handsome chap?
Sorry?
Is he a handsome chap?
Handsome chap. And there is, in fact, available an Instagram video of the pair rambling around in the countryside. Well, I won't say rambling around, I mean rambling.
How do you mean?
Yeah, I mean rambling, I mean...
Not like the way you used to ramble around the countryside on the way back from the rallying.
No, exactly. That's
rallying around in the countryside.
That's right. They were rambling.
Thank goodness for that.
Because you can't ramble in the suburbs.
Well, you can.
I suppose you could.
Yeah.
And
what
else?
Is this it then? Is this your kind of dynamic start to the show?
Yes, absolutely.
Giving me a load of meaningless facts and figures about the tennis player that until about a week ago you never heard of.
No. It's all sensational stuff. What I was going to say to you was...
Well, what about Liverpool? Why don't you want to talk about Liverpool?
Well, what
you
is it
hate
to
talking
say?
about Liverpool
What is it
winning
to say?
day.
What is it to say?
You were hoping, as somebody put out on Twitter earlier, that it was by disgraceful hoping to put the Porky jinx on them. You came out and said they were going to win.
No, I thought they would.
No, you didn't. You say they were.
Everybody thought they would.
No, everybody didn't think they would, actually.
Now, listen, do you think they deserve to win?
I think they did, yeah.
I don't think they did.
Because in the end, it comes down to who's got more kind of grit and who's got more kind of preparation. And the fact that Stoke kind of did a sort of El Collapso in the penalty shootout.
Yeah.
They, of course, of course, when it gets to a penalty shootout, it's anybody's game.
Who had more possession during the game?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well, who had more possession?
Well, since when have you going to start doing all this nonsense about, possession statistics?
I'm only trying to tell the truth.
I don't care.
I would now get a load of abuse from Liverpool fans. So what do you mean they didn't deserve to win?
Because you don't like him to win.
Stoke had an awful lot of possession in that game. They seemed to have a more positive attitude to it. They certainly in the second half, after they scored just before half-time, they were dynamic, and I thought they would probably take it. And on a couple of occasions, maybe they could. But that does take nothing away from Liverpool. And as I say, congratulations on getting there. I hope Everton get there. And it would be a magnificent occasion to see an Merseyside final.
OK. Here's one from Harry, who says, why does Porky have to scream when he reads out somebody's track record? My roommate is going up.
What do you mean?
Going nuts, sorry.
Why?
He says, # shut up the plank.
What do you mean? I wasn't screaming at all. I was just trying to tell you things, that's all.
Anyway, we've got lots going on. We've got lots to talk about.
We certainly have.
So
I've got a few campaigns to launch tonight, by the way. Yes, I have.
And we've got to talk about winners and losers as well. This is Talk Sport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be, of course, a podcast coming out a bit later. Ask Porky as well. We've got loads and loads of questions. But if you haven't got one in yet, you can tweet it at the two mics, or you can go and find us on the Facebook page as well, which is called the two mics. Bantam says this: tell Porky to stop going on about the boring women's tennis. It's nearly as bad as the American football. That's a very sexist view that he's got there, isn't it? I don't think it's at all boring.
Well, no, I sort of half agree with you there. We shouldn't bang on about American football because nobody in this country is really interested in that. But
that's not true either.
We are interested in the tennis because, lady. Now, I want to know what's happened, please, in the vote for winners and losers because when I last looked only a few hours ago, I, of course, was leading 53-47. I expect you now to declare the result, please.
Well, you haven't been leading 53-47 for a very long time.
Oh, I have.
It became at around about, I would say, late afternoon. It became very, very close. It was a 51% to 49% lead for you.
Yes.
And then for about the last, I would say, 5 or 6 hours or so, after about 6 o'clock, it became 50-50. Basically, it got to midnight.
What?
It was 50-50 for most of the
night.
What time did it become 50-50? I would say around about 6:30, 7 o'clock last night.
What?
And so it was 50-50 for almost the entire time, right? And so what I've done here is it's been declared a draw, basically, by the independent adjudicators.
Oh, rubbish.
It says here 1,669 votes were cast by midnight.
Yes.
And it was 50-50. Because it had been 50-50 for such a long time, it was declared a draw. There was a bit of jiggery-pokery going on towards the end, around about 5 to midnight.
Right.
Because you might remember that situation we had a few weeks ago with the cam girl who was urging everybody to vote Porky in order for something to be revealed to the rest of the audience if they voted in favour of you, right? She has been roping in all sorts of characters from various parts around the world, shall we say, who are involved in the adult film business.
What?
And they all started holding up signs saying, vote Porky, vote often.
I like that.
And
Thank you very much indeed.
Given
That's
that they're
brilliant.
not necessarily listeners to the show, it was decided by the independent adjudicators that this was probably some kind of malfeasance.
So what you mean is...
And therefore, the best thing to do is to declare a draw and a stalemate before anything turned ugly.
So what you mean is you were on the brink of losing and you closed the draw down?
Not at all.
You closed
Absolutely
the vote
not.
down?
It wasn't my decision.
You do? You mean that?
No, it wasn't my decision.
You were on the brink of losing.
No, not true.
And so you closed the vote down. It's an absolute disgrace.
Well,
and you should be banned or something.
I think it's fair enough to have a competition that runs for approximately sort of 3 hours short of 24 hours, 21 hours. And it's 50-50, and so
I'm still in the lead.
There's not much point in extending. Well, then now the results are that you're still winning by 2-1.
Exactly.
And one game and one of the battles is drawn.
So isn't it 2.5 to 1.5 now?
Well, it could be 2.5 to 1.5.
Yeah,
you call
exactly.
It that?
Now,
would you like to call it that?
Yes, I would. Yes, I saw a note from one of my admirers and followers, Liz.
Here's a picture of one of them holding up.
Amazingly.
Now, do you know who that woman is?
Ooh.
It says, vote Porky, vote often.
Well, she looks very attractive. Who is she?
Yeah, she's a porn star.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I
she's
don't know porn star.
Adult film star.
Well, it's very kind of her to support
she's
me
attending,
like that.
The girl, the girl who came on the show,
yes,
who we had to get rid of because she was rather rude.
Foul of mouth.
I'm afraid so. Has been at a convention, would you believe, in Las Vegas.
Right.
Right, where there are a whole load of adult film stars.
Is it a porn stars convention?
It is indeed.
You're joking.
Yeah,
and, so she's spreading the word.
And she's spreading the word
over
for
there.
you to get people to hold up these signs. Vote Porky, vote often.
Well, I mean, I like support from most areas of the world,
There's
but I
another
have
one.
to say that's.
I just didn't think you'd want that kind of support.
Well, I have any support really,
Would you?
but I mean, I'm not sure. If
Well, I'll show you what some of these people get up to.
No, I don't want to see.
Like
Thank you. This is a family show.
Given that you have these Victorian values
it's a
that you're
family
always
show.
Espousing, I think you might be slightly shocked.
Family show. Listen, by the way, did you see that? I just been following this all day. Did you see that literally hundreds of people are now claiming the other £33 million from the lottery?
Yeah, but also there's now warnings going out to them, aren't there, saying that they may face 10 years in jail.
Well, that's because I put out that question first thing this morning. At 9 o'clock this morning, I said, hang on, hundreds of people now claiming this. I said, the Great Train Robbers got 30 years for nicking £4 million.
Right.
So if this lot think they're going to try and get away with stealing £30 million, they should be prosecuted.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to get away with it, are they? No, but they're not going to get away with it. I mean, if you just say you've got the winning ticket...
Hang on.
If you say you've got the winning ticket, but the winning ticket is not, in fact, in your possession...
Yes.
Then how have you got away with it?
Because you're trying to steal £33 million, aren't you?
Well,
you are trying to acquire £33 million.
That's indeed possible,
under false pretences.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying
But why would you put someone in prison for 10 years for that?
I'd put them in prison for 30 he is, because
Why?
£33 million is an awful lot of money.
Well, it is.
If you,
but, everything's not related to money.
of course it
The
is.
great train robbers, robbed a train.
Yes.
And hit somebody over the head very, very
Unfortunately,
badly.
they did, yes.
Who died.
Yeah, Mr.
So
Jack
that's why
Mills,
they
yeah.
went to jail for such a long time.
Well, he died much later.
No, I know, but he died as a result of his injuries.
Yeah, but he died a long time after they were sentenced,
Yeah,
if you
but
see what
as
I
a-
mean.
yeah, but
they
as a
weren't,
result-
they weren't actually jailed
Yeah,
for
but my point
his
is,
manslaughter.
My point is they used violence to acquire
Yes, they
the
did,
money.
yeah, and it was disgusting and shocking.
Yeah.
Any villain who takes other people's property is a scumbag. Any villain who does it by hitting somebody else is a mega scumbag.
Right.
Now, what I was going to say
Thanks
is...
for pointing that out.
Sorry? Yeah, I
Thanks for
thought
pointing
I'd
that
let
out.
you know that. But what I'm saying is, if you and I, for instance, decided we'd had enough of all this and decided we'd break into a bank and steal 30 million quid,
Yeah.
if we got within... a whisker of getting away with it and then got arrested by Jack Reagan and the flying squad at the last minute, right?
Yeah.
We would go down for 20 years for trying to rob £33 million.
Do you know when I was flipping around on the TV sort of late this afternoon?
Right.
Sweeney was on.
Da-da-da,
It was great. And I actually I don't know if you saw the tweet that I put out. Because I put out a tweet sort of, all right.
Yeah,
okay,
what was it?
all right. It was a tweet sort of promoting Porky Vision, basically.
Oh, really?
I mean, you may
Right, okay.
decide to review the Sweeney at some point.
Well,
but there was this great villain.
I've got a few ideas.
There was this great villain who was confessing to killing somebody, right?
Yes.
They were asking him in the sort of interview room before they beat him to a pulp
I
whether he
see.
would tell the story of what had happened.
Right.
And he came out with this fantastic line, not only in the Sweeney would it make sense, and he went, well, I drove up there in the big Zephyr and I had a shooter in the boot. And that was that was the start of his confession. I just
Shooter
thought,
in the boot.
a shooter in the boot, yeah.
Yes.
You know what that means, don't you?
Well, of
You're
course.
puzzled.
No, he had a gun in the trunk.
In the boot,
Yeah, that's right,
We
yeah.
don't call it the trunk.
No, we call it the boot.
Yeah.
No, all I'm saying is that I think I raised the fear of this mega crime this morning, and everybody's picked up on it.
Oh,
so
right, okay.
It shows that
you're saying you may have influenced Camelot in their coming out and saying this.
Well, I don't think it's Camelot who are saying that we will prosecute these people. It is the authorities who are saying that, if you go around trying to steal £30 million...
Well, how about this for an intro to a story? Lotto rotters found to be lying in a bid to land a £33 million jackpot face 10 years in jail.
Yep.
Camelot has warned. So I think it is Camelot.
Well, I'm sure it is Camelot, actually. I think it's more like the authorities. But anyway, every one of them's got to be investigated, so Camelot are really fed up that they're going to have to spend an awful lot of time trying to see if anybody's got a decent claim. More and more stories questioning the character of some of the people who are making the claims are coming out, of course.
Right.
Including people who, found to be in the past
And one of the papers this morning have got a picture of the
debts and all sorts of things.
supposed missing ticket. Which was handed in. Yeah, have you not seen it?
No,
not
I've
the
seen
full
that, yeah.
ticket.
Yeah, oh yeah. Let's
And
have a
it
look at
says
that,
the 33 million Lotto Grand's tatty win slip. And it says that there are clearly 6 winning numbers are clearly visible, but 4 other identifying marks are missing.
Yeah.
This is the one she says got damaged in the wash.
Now, you see, I had one that went in the wash.
Did you?
I should have told you this story last night.
You should have done.
I had one that I left in the pocket of a pair of chinos.
Chinos?
Yes, chinos,
Oh, what
yeah.
colour?
Dark blue.
Dark blue chinos.
And it went through the wash.
Where from?
Debenhams.
Debenhams?
Yes, Debenhams. That's where I get my chinos from.
What size are they?
Well, they're the normal size.
Normal size?
Yes.
What size?
Sort of X.
X?
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
What, 26.5 inside leg?
Yes.
And what size waist?
Well, the normal.
Why can't you
normal
just
size.
tell me?
No, what's it matter? Doesn't
Because
matter.
it's important.
No, it's not. It's relevant.
People want to know.
It's relevant. Anyway, what I was going to say was, I did actually leave one in there. Now, the my housekeeper then ironed them,
Right.
which sort of
I had the chinos.
which sort of contributed to the compression of the.
Did she not go through the pockets before she put it in the washing machine?
I never ask her to, actually, in case I've left sort of stuff in there that might incriminate me. If you see what I mean.
What do you mean?
Well, like a lot of money and all that kind of stuff.
Money?
You know what I mean? Yeah.
£256 bar bill.
Well,
That sort of thing.
we're not going back to that again. Now, what I was going to say is that I got it out, right, and you're absolutely right, all this advice about what you do. So I got it out, and I pieced it together, and because I couldn't tell, what it was, I was very worried I might have missed a jackpot.
Yeah.
So I rang up Camelot,
Yeah.
and a very nice woman said hello. She said, "Oh, it's not unusual, it happens all the time." And I said, and they said, "Well, look, send us a note, right, a handwritten note on where you bought it, at what time, send the remains of the ticket."
Yeah. So you did all this?
I did all this, what you got of it.
How come you forgot all this story we were talking about it the other day?
I don't know, because, I'm sorry, I should have told you, because I meant to tell you when I came in the other night.
Yeah.
And so I sent it, but I sent it by recorded delivery, because I didn't want to get lost, right? And anyway, about a week later, I got a really nicely typed letter back saying, "Dear Mr. Parry, we have had a look at your spoilt ticket. We can confirm it was bought here on this day. We have managed to establish the numbers were, and there is no prize money on this ticket. Thank you very much for using."
So why did you think there was any prize money?
Well, because
do you not always do the same numbers?
No, I don't. No, I don't always do the same
you
numbers. No, you've got to remember, Mike, what you can get is you can get what's called a lucky dip. So
I'm not an expert in these matters.
Yeah, but you don't even know what the numbers are, you see.
Right.
You're not randomly filling in a form.
No,
you just say, a couple of lucky dips, please, and the 6 numbers just come out. So you don't know what they are. So what happened was 3 of the numbers had disappeared, but interestingly, the barcode had remained. So by them, being able to access the barcode, they can tell what the other numbers are.
Ticket, the barcode's missing,
Well, of course it is, because the thing is, you see, I'm looking at this now, so explain to our listeners, we've got...
Say the time, by the way.
Hang on a second, don't worry about that. We've got a picture here of a ruined ticket.
Yeah.
It's got holes in it, it's withered at the edges, the print is all faded, like it's been through a washing machine.
You know what it looks like to me?
What?
When I was a kid, my dad used to let us make treasure maps, right?
And
we would draw like an old pirate's treasure map, and we put it in tea.
Yeah.
We put it in a pot full of tea to make it look aged. So it would look like it was a real old pirate's treasure map.
No,
it looks like it's been
agree.
steeped in tea.
What I think is very unusual is that you can tell all the numbers, 26, 27, 46, 47, 52, 58.
47?
47 is on
Wow.
there. Yeah.
There you go.
But you, what you can't...
Look at the time, by the way.
You can't see is the old barcode. So I have to say, it's a very puzzling story.
It is very puzzling indeed, and quite dubious, I think you might have to say. We've got loads more coming up. Steve Nichols going to be joining us in a little while. He'll be celebrating, of course, because Liverpool are back at Wembley. Can Everton join them? We'll find out a little bit later on. This is TalkSport.
TalkSport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can.
Scenario.
Yeah, that you've gerrymandered it again.
No,
I hate to use the word gerrymander because it can be overused.
Some people are actually blaming.
Opposite.
No, some people are blaming you for ruining the competition. Basically, Sean says this: if there was an uneven number of votes, how could it be 50-50? Well, it's an uneven number of votes because the percentage is measured, and you can't measure percentages, unfortunately, without sometimes having an uneven number of votes. It's still a percentage. It's just maybe not something that you're used to seeing. Roy says, perhaps it's time to retire winners and losers because Porky's manipulating his pea-brained followers. What a sham it is. Paul says, well, it seems old MG has been gerrymandering this week.
Yes.
Late surge in MG votes is very suspicious. It's nothing to do with a late surge.
It was a late surge. I was 53-47 ahead.
No, you weren't. Well, show me the screen grab of when it was 53-47. Show me that.
No.
It was never 53-47 much after about 5 in the morning.
But it was 53-47.
At the very beginning,
yes, thank you.
At the very beginning, actually.
So don't start denying it.
At the very beginning, it was 57-43.
Didn't start denying it, laddie.
Yeah, but the trouble is you didn't look at it all day. Here's one from DG. Yes. How could it be 50-50 if there was an odd number of votes? How can people not understand that? Lord Rallo says old MG's gerrymandering's out of control. It's nothing to do with me at all. Here's one from Harry who says porn stars voting for him, man of the people, eh? More like man of the adult film business people.
Well, I can't help all that, can I?
Now, here's one from Ryan who says, big thanks to Mike Parry. After 16 years on minimum wage, I've been taking Porky's advice and demanded a promotion and got it.
Yeah.
#cheers.
Yeah, well done. You do that, pal. Now listen, I've been looking at some of the lifestyle surrounding Mr. Putin.
Oh yeah.
And did you know
your favourite dictator?
Well, look,
You're not going to launch into another great sort of, how great Putin is.
I don't. Listen, I'm not making any comment about this at all. I've had a bit of feedback over, social networks. By the way, talking about social networks.
Yeah.
I mean, Twitter is a very well-known one.
Yes.
But what about all these new ones that are coming out, which people are using?
Like what?
Well, Snapchat, is that one?
Snapchat's not that new, though.
What is it?
Well, it's been around for a while. It's actually owned by Facebook now.
Oh, is it?
But it's it's a sort of a more immediate way of communicating.
And what are the other ones called?
Well, there's Instagram.
Right. Now, so why aren't we on these?
We're on Facebook and we're on Twitter. Right. You want to be on something else as well. You're not busy enough.
Well, no, I just think that the wider the audience, the better. I mean, I don't want to deprive people of my nuggets of wisdom, which whiz out on my social network system
you could start
on a daily basis.
We could start an Instagram account if you like.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you wouldn't understand how to use it, so it would have to be operated by somebody else.
Well, I'd get somebody else to do it for me.
Well, who would you get to do it for you?
Well, I have people, so don't worry about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you got people to operate your Twitter account?
No, I can do that myself.
All right.
That's no problem.
Well, why don't you launch your own Instagram account?
Instagram? you.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like that's for pictures only.
Well, it's not really. I mean, it's mostly for pictures. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
But you don't like to send pictures out, do
I
you?
don't. Now listen, Mr. Abramovich.
So you don't want to do it now, then?
No, I'm not interested.
Okay.
Right now, then it says here, Roman
Well,
Abramovich.
you just wasted the last 2 minutes asking me about it.
Well, I like to explore these things.
Right.
Now then, Roman Abramovich gave Vladimir Putin, this is brilliant, a £25 million yacht.
Oh, yeah.
After he became president of Russia. It was claimed last night.
Yeah.
The gift from the Chelsea Football Club owner is just
Nice
a
of him,
small
wasn't it?
part. Hey?
That's nice of him.
Yeah, get this though, Mike. This is what I like. You know how I admire people who make money in life.
Yes, I know you do, yeah.
So it says
To a fault.
Yeah, it says the gift from the Chelsea Football Club owner is just a small part of Mr. Putin's vast wealth, which is estimated to have reached 28 billion quid.
28 billion?
28 billion.
Right.
This is a man, right? This is a man who, though no longer running a communist country, because of course the wall's come down.
Of course.
We're all capitalists now, right?
Right.
Nevertheless, Mr. Putin, as I recall, rose to prominence by being head of the KGB.
He did.
In the days when Russia was the most sort of reviled communist country on earth.
And knowing where all the bodies were buried.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But however, Mr. Putin has allegedly, according to this report of mine, given up the old idea of we're all equal because he's got a fortune of 28 billion quid.
Once you've got 28 billion in the bank, I suppose you don't really care what anybody else thinks.
Well, not really.
At that point.
It says the 187-foot vessel, called the Olympia, has room for 10 guests and a crew of 16. And details emerged as a US Treasury official accused Mr. Putin of nepotism and embezzlement of state funds.
Right.
The wealth of the Russian
Well,
president...
he's not going to worry about that, is he?
No, he's not going to worry about that. The wealth of the Russian president, whose official salary is about £80,000,
Yeah.
has long been the subject of speculation. Now, this is a good one. What the Americans have done is put together a dossier from, and they've gleaned this from political rivals,
Yeah.
who claim Mr. Putin stays at more than 20 different palaces and country retreats. He has 58 planes and helicopters.
Right.
The report also claims he uses a private jet with a £110 million cabin, which has a bathroom with gold fittings and a £50,000 loo. I mean, who wants a £50,000 loo?
I bet he doesn't let anybody else use it either, a bit like you.
Well, it's not exactly communism, this, is it? If
It's
you know
not
what I
really,
mean.
no.
I mean, what happened to...
Well, I mean, to be honest, it probably is, because in
Yes.
the days of the old Politburo, the guys had their
Yes.
dakas down by the Black Sea, didn't
That's
they?
right.
And they lived very high on the hog.
That's right.
And it was
That's
only
right,
the
yeah.
poor, actual people who weren't able to have access to any money whatsoever.
No, that's right. And of course, George Orwell's famous book, Animal Farm, was the famous expression was, all pigs are equal, but some pigs are more equal than others.
Yes.
So
Wasn't it all animals are equal?
All animals are equal, that's right. Yeah, sorry, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others.
Yeah.
He meant the pigs.
Yes.
He said the pigs were the best ones.
Well, there's another one. Here's another one for you.
Yes.
This is in Malaysia, right? A story I
Yes.
spotted a bit earlier on in the day.
Yes.
The Malaysia Attorney General has cleared the Prime Minister, Najib Razak.
Where's this?
In Malaysia.
Right, yeah.
Of criminal offences or corruption, closing an investigation into a murky multi-million-dollar funding scandal
Yes.
that should have ended his career.
Yes.
Guess how much money he took from the Saudi royal family?
No.
$681 million.
Oh, right, okay.
Deposited into his personal bank account,
Yes.
which apparently was a gift.
Yeah, well,
It was nothing to do with any kind of seeking any kind of influence.
These things happen. And
Yeah.
I just read the other
You'd probably
day...
be admiring of this guy now, would you?
Well, not really.
There he is there. He looks a bit like you, actually.
No, it doesn't.
He
Never
does.
Ridiculous. It doesn't look anything like me, you
Imagine
fool.
681 million being
Yeah,
deposited in your bank account.
Yeah, just, where
and
did
you're
that
the
come
Prime
from?
Minister, you just go,
Yeah.
well, it's nothing to do with anything, it's just a present.
Bonus payment.
Yeah.
And I read the other day that Mr. Mugabe, of course, the very elderly ruler of Zimbabwe, used to be Rhodesia, which is causing a lot of problems for people at Oxford who want to take Cecil Rhodes' statue down.
Yeah.
But
it's a slightly wider issue. That,
yeah, he has acquired new forms of wealth within Zambia. Within Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Which, of course, he has driven into one of the economic basket cases of the world.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, there we go. That's just a lesson in how you get on in life, I suppose.
Fascinating.
Absolutely.
Now, what about the pictures of Louis van Gaal leaving Manchester United earlier on today, or yesterday, I should say? We were saying last night he might come back from the Netherlands and resign. He didn't do that.
No.
In fact, Manchester United said that not only did he not resign, that he never actually offered to resign.
In a beaten-up old Mercedes.
Well, his Mercedes, as was pointed out by a couple of people on Twitter, doesn't look as flash as yours.
No, it doesn't. No. Well, mine is quite flash. Of course, the Dutch don't make cars, do they?
Eh?
Dutch don't make cars.
I don't know if I can think of a Dutch car.
No, there's no Dutch car. I mean, I think you'll find a lot of Ford cars are made in sort of Belgium and Holland.
Yeah,
if you see what I
they
mean.
might have car factories.
You've got car factories, but they don't actually make any cars of their own. Mind you, having said that, I wonder whether we make any cars of our own these days. I mean, we still have great British marques, if you see what I mean.
But we make them here, but they're not necessarily owned by a British company.
Well, they're not, are they? Who owns Bentley now?
I think the same people that own Rolls-Royce, isn't it?
No, I think Bentley's owned by BMW.
Oh, is it? Well, it's Volkswagen, isn't it?
Is it BMW, Volkswagen? I'm not sure. Rolls-Royce is owned by...
Rolls-Royce was owned by Ford for a while.
Yeah.
Then it was owned... Was it not owned by the Tatar family for a while as well?
No, because they
own
Jaguar Land Rover. Yeah, right. So I'm not sure who owns Rolls-Royce.
It's certainly not British, anyway.
But it's still cheering to go to places like Rodeo Drive and see a couple of Rolls-Royces cruising up and down. And you say to yourself, your heart swells and bursts with pride, and you say, that is a great British marque, a great British invention.
Yeah, I found a Dutch car.
Oh, yeah?
Hand-built, ultra-lightweight sports cars.
Yeah.
Called Donkervoort.
Donkervoort.
Yeah.
Does that translate into the donkey car?
It's not a donkey
because
car.
It goes so slowly.
Look at the time, anyway.
And it goes, ee-aw, ee-aw.
Yeah, when you hit the horn. You had any sleep today? You got a bit mad. This is Talk Sport. Steve Nichols coming up next.
Yes.
Get a generous helping of the latest odds and tasty tips with Paddy's Punts every weekday afternoon from 4 on Drive with Durham and Goffey on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. You're welcome. With the form on the football.
What a game.
The going on the GGs.
And they're off.
The crack on the cricket.
6.
And lashings of Paddy's famous generosity.
Come on, gives a break. It's only a bit of crack, isn't it?
Get your tips while they're hot with Paddy's Punts. Weekday afternoons from 4 with Adrian Durham and Darren Goff on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. You're welcome.
At Wickes, we've shaved up to 40% off our updated range of skirting, architrave and cladding. Wickes, let's do it right.
Want to run your own business, be your own boss and earn a great income, all while working with an experienced, trusted and reliable parcel carrier? Parcel Force Worldwide is seeking enthusiastic new owner-drivers across London and surrounding areas, from Basingstoke to Gatwick to Kent. If you have your own van, suitable for delivering a large amount of parcels, become a self-employed Parcel Force Worldwide owner-driver, and you could earn up to £70,000 per year. To find out more, text DRIVER to 60300.
Whether you're saving for a new home or you've got a wedding to pay for, the money you're putting aside is perfectly safe, protected by the FSCS up to £75,000. Should anything happen to your bank, building society or credit union, it's completely automatic, free of charge, and you'll normally get your money back within 7 days. You'll probably never need us, but it's good to know we're here. Search FSCS Protected to check you're fully covered.
Talk Sport.
Licensed for radio.
Ultimate Game Radio.
Fabulous shot.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up in the next hour, we'll be hopefully getting underway with some British tennis, as we talked about earlier. Joe Konta, but it's still in the second set in the Radwanska game, so it might take some time. 5-4 currently, to Azarenka, I should say. And we'll bring you Andy Murray a little bit later on, as well as Joe Konta. A couple more people have tweeted in about DAFs. Daffodil was a car built in the Netherlands. 2 gears, 1 forward, 1 reverse, says Jeff.
What's that? A daffodil car?
No, DAF.
It's called DAF.
Well, DAF make trucks as well.
Oh, they do make big trucks. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Right, and there's a Spiker car as well, which is like a sports car.
Spiker.
But anyway.
Well, that car you just showed me, the one that you called the donkey car, that looks like a Lotus 7, which was the car, for the benefit of our millions of listeners, the best described as the prisoner's car.
Right.
You know, at the start of The Prisoner with Patrick McGowan.
Yeah. Never mind all that. Never mind all that.
And he's burning along in a little one-seater orange car, and he burns into the Secret Services where he works, and he burns out again. And then the undertakers arrive, don't they? Put the gas in through his door. That's the end of him. Yeah. He wakes up in the village,
North Wales coast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Port Merion.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Now we've got Steve Nichol to talk to here. Much more important stuff, because Liverpool are through to another final at Wembley, which they will say they richly deserved. It was a bit of a dramatic night. Steve, a very good morning to you.
I'm a number, not a name.
That's it. I'm not a number, I'm a man.
I'm not a number, I'm a free man, actually, is what you said.
That's right. I'm not a number, I'm a free man.
Unfortunately, I can remember that programme.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I
thought
unfortunately,
I'm the only one that can remember the actual catchphrase. Both of you got it wrong, but never mind. Now, penalty shootouts. I mean, who would have thought Simon Mignolet would be the hero of the hour after all the stick he's taken from Liverpool fans?
Yeah, me included.
Yeah.
He's been under a bit of pressure. Hasn't. You usually associate good goalkeepers with making saves that count, and he hasn't made any recently. But of course, today, 2 saves in a penalty shootout, and again, the man of the moment, Joe Allen, with another goal, and he gets him through to Wembley.
Tell you
Fantastic.
what, that was either a brave or a blinking lucky penalty winner, wasn't it? Went to the top left-hand side of the goal, and that's not where you normally aim a penalty. The amazing thing is, Steve, that Liverpool didn't have their first shot on goal until the first period of extra time. And I think that just illustrates a lot about the Premier League this season. A lot of it is so topsy-turvy, upside down, in and out. Stoke had a very, very good attempt at winning at Anfield and nearly did.
Well, the goal we got was clearly offside, but I think what we're seeing at the moment in the Premier League is there seems to be more about keeping the ball or possessing the ball than making chances. I mean, the object of the game is to score goals and create chances, and to do that, you have to get in the final third.
Yeah.
Teams today, in the Premier League in particular, it's all about looking pretty with possession. There doesn't seem to be that attacking fervour that really associate with why we all actually play the game or watch it.
Well, that's right. I mean, I was listening to the TalkSport commentary at various points through the game, and Ray Houghton was on saying, there is the same as you were saying, there's all this kind of dithering around at the back and keeping possession, passing the ball sideways, and he was also saying Christian Benteke, is never in the right position, he's never kind of going forward in central positions, he's not in the box when he should be. They're all kind of, they're a bit toothless, Liverpool.
Well, if I'm Benteke, I'm actually wondering when I'm actually going to see the ball. I mean, the guy doesn't know whether to be in the box, out the box, or whatever because he doesn't know when it's coming. I mean, I actually call it snobbery. It's almost like if you're not possessing the ball, then you're not playing properly.
Yeah.
And God forbid that you make chances and score goals. But you know what? We kept the ball for 70% of the game.
I'll tell you what.
Guess what? If you don't win the game, it doesn't make a jot of difference.
Well, of course it doesn't. But it's even infected Porky, right? Because he comes in tonight on the show and says, I don't think Liverpool deserve to win. Did you see how much possession Stoke had?
Yes.
I mean, that's what people talk about now. I mean, what difference does that make, as you say?
Well, they had a lot of the ball, Stoke.
Well, so what? They lost.
Yes, but they also, you say they lost, but they won 1-0 at Anfield.
Lost. They're not going to Wembley. It doesn't matter.
Let's be honest here, Porky. Did you really think that Liverpool were going to play like the Liverpool we historically think of? Let's be realistic. This Liverpool team is not capable at the moment of playing the way we all want them to play, and that is attacking football and making chances and scoring goals. They're not capable, so you've got to be realistic. At the end of the day, they won the game. It's about results, really, when it comes down to it. And Liverpool are at Wembley.
People will call me churlish if I start saying, they didn't really... I mean, look, they deserved it in the sense that, as my rotund broadcasting partner on my left here has said...
It's pretty good coming from you.
At the end of the day, they were the ones who got through, and they're going to be at Wembley, so good luck to them. That's fine.
Don't say I'm churlish. About 2 minutes ago, you called Joe Allen's penalty, which went in the top corner, is not where you want to put it.
Well,
so you're a hard man to please.
No. Well, I mean,
where do you want to put it? If it goes in the goal, what difference does it make?
Some sort of slap in the face for sticking it in the top corner when it mattered most.
Can you imagine if you came in from a game and you just won, Steve? No, excuse me, I'm just going to talk to the sensible person in this conversation. Steve Nichol, who knows a bit about penalty shootouts.
Does he?
And you come in, right, and the manager says to you, you should never have put that there, and you've just won the game. Yeah. I mean, can you ever imagine that happening?
No professional footballer, Steve, would try and aim for the top corner. I in fact, have a right to... I have a right to talk on this, Steve, because can I tell you this?
You've missed loads of penalties.
Excuse me, I've got a better penalty-taking record at Old Trafford than Wayne Rooney. How about that? Because when I was in a penalty competition at half-time at Manchester United, I scored against England's under-18 goalkeeper, and that
Did he have his back to you?
No, you idiot. And that was
so
after...
where did you try and put it? So if you weren't putting it in the top corner, where were you trying to put it?
I put it straight down the goalkeeper's throat because psychologically I knew the goalkeeper would move, and he did. So it rocketed into the back of the net, Joe Royle style. And can I tell you, the previous week, Wayne Rooney had taken his first penalty for Manchester United in the same goal and missed it. So my claim to fame...
You could have got rid of... You could have got rid of all that psychological mumbo-jumbo by just sticking it in the top corner and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, but I tell you what...
How'd you get on when you took the penalty at Shrewsbury?
Hang on, excuse me.
How'd you get on there?
The captain of the other team was Alvin Martin, England international, whose son is a goalkeeper, and said, Dad, put it in the top left-hand corner. He tried that and he hit the bar and failed. So my psychology was better than an England international. So Steve Nichol, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, pal, OK?
He's been on the Red Bull tonight, Steve. I'm sorry about this. My many apologies.
Now, Steve,
how can you reason with the unreasonable?
I know you
It's
can't.
impossible.
Now,
I have to
Steve,
put up with this every night.
let me ask you this question. As I've just said to you, Liverpool didn't have the first shot on goal until the first period of extra time. Now, quite seriously, do you think half the team that have got them to Wembley for this League Cup final may find themselves not at Liverpool by the start of next season?
That is a big possibility. A lot will depend on who's available and who they can get. I mean, listen, they can't get rid of everybody. There aren't too many who are covering themselves in glory at the present time, or certainly in the recent past. So it's about who he can get. And if he can get the ones he wants, that'll determine who stays and who goes, as much as anything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
people criticise Jurgen Klopp when he got the team to stand in a line and link hands and go up to the Kop and sort of help.
And that was after a draw.
And that was after a draw. But I got the sense last night that the Anfield crowd have embraced him even more now.
Of course they have.
And when he went and did it last night, it was a great success, wasn't it, Steve?
Well, if there was ever a time to do it, it's winning a semi-final at home and you're taking your team and your fans to Wembley.
Exactly.
I would suggest that I actually agree with Porky. You can't be doing that after you got a draw.
No, exactly.
Yeah, but that was all. Yeah, but surely
it's all about timing.
Yeah, but wasn't that about him making himself known? Yeah, but wasn't that about him making himself known to the crowd and to say, look, after what you've been going through with Brendan Rodgers, you've got a very different guy here, and I'm going to make sure that you get your pride back or whatever it is. And I think it worked.
No, I don't think so. I think he misjudged it. I've said before, it's about timing. And had this been the first time they'd done it, then it would have been fantastic because the timing was perfect.
I totally
agree.
agree.
He actually, by doing it previously, took a little bit of the gloss off of if he had just done it after this game.
Right.
You're totally right.
Let's talk about Everton and Manchester City.
Exactly. Now, who do you think is going to get through to meet Liverpool at Wembley? Presumably, Steve, with your history of these great traditional games, you'll want it to be Everton. So we have a Liverpool-Everton-Liverpool final.
Well, I'd love it to be a team in blue. But it's not the one. It's not the one that you think.
Oh, I see. You think you got more chance of beating Manchester City, do you, than beating Everton? So you're running scared, are you?
It's not really that. It's the. How long would it take to get rid of losing to Everton in a cup final?
Well, you see,
it's never
painful.
It's never happened before, and I hope it never happens again.
Well, it's painful, mate.
Or ever happens.
It's the sort of thing that you might have to.
But I mean,
have
you said yourself? I mean, Graham Souness the other day said it's going to take Klopp a couple of years to get Liverpool back to anything like what they were like, before this. And I don't think they've got much chance of beating either team, have they?
I would suggest that they probably have a better chance of beating Everton.
Really?
Because, well, listen, I mean, Manchester City have to be favourites going into this semi-final second leg.
Yeah.
Just basically because of Mr. Aguero. I mean, the guy is absolutely sensational. And Everton are given so many soft goals away that it's hard to believe that Everton's going to keep a clean sheet.
No, I think
for that reason alone, then you have to go with City.
Yeah. No, I think
well, if they give the ball to John Stones any time, they'll be on tenterhooks.
No, I think they'll get it all right. And you've got to remember, okay, so City have got Aguero, but Everton got Lukaku, who is the second most prolific scorer in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, but he scores a lot of goals that are important goals, though.
Well, he scores a lot of goals that are important goals. I think he'll start scoring goals tonight. The other thing is, Steve, and this is an interesting observation on the heritage and history of football clubs, Manchester City are having trouble selling tickets for this game tonight. And I think that's an indication of the fact that they may still have a long way to go to establish themselves with the heritage and the history of Manchester United, Liverpool, Everton, maybe even Chelsea.
It's kind of hard to disagree with that statement, to be honest.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that the owners have put the team on the field that they have and gone out the way to spend a lot of money, it is kind of surprising, and I really have no idea what the answer would be. You know, you would have thought a chance to go to Wembley and support your team would be at the top of your list. But if that's indeed the case, that's a real strange one.
It is.
You know, if there was a simple answer to that, I'm sure the geniuses at City will have done that by now.
That's right. It's food for thought. Food for thought, indeed.
Steve, thank you very much, as ever, for joining us.
Steve.
Azarenka's just been knocked out, I think, I'm right in saying, at the Australian Open. So,
Azarenka.
Azarenka. So we'll find out some more details on that from Lisa O'Sullivan when we talk to her coming up in the next hour or so. We've got lots more of that. That means Joe Konta's going to be on the court down in Australia in Melbourne. So we'll be talking you through all of that coming up in the next hour. We'll also be doing Ask Porky. So if you haven't submitted a question yet that you'd like to have solved, it's a quandary that you'd like to have sorted out, you know what to do. You can send it at the two mics. Or you can send it over to Facebook as well. Lots and lots more to come coming up in the next hour. We're going to talk about lots more. We haven't talked really yet very much about Manchester United as well. And we haven't talked much yet about Everton and Manchester City.
Well, I'm not sure there's a big development on Manchester United today. You know,
well, there is, because
Louis van Gaal goes to Holland. He comes
Van Gaal
back.
is still there.
He's still got a job. Well, what are you looking for, man? It's a story when he leaves the club or he gets sacked.
Yeah.
He either decides to quit, to walk, or he gets sacked. That's not happening. So, you know, you're grasping at straws here.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Here's one from Dave. Where did you get your stats from, MG? Because I've been checking most of the day and Porky has been in front.
Thank
He's
you.
talking about winners and losers. Not true.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, so there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later. Watching the Australian Open for Talk Sport is Lisa O'Sullivan. Lisa.
Yeah, no sleep tonight for fans of British tennis. Andy Murray's in action later, looking to extend his 1-12 loss 6 record over the Spanish veteran David Ferrer. But first, we've got to complete the lineup for the ladies' semi-finals with Joe Konta heading on court to face China's Zhang Shui. Both players in unfamiliar territory in their first Grand Slam quarter-finals. Zhang, who's ranked 133 in the world, was even considering retirement before Melbourne, having lost all 14 of her previous Grand Slam matches. Konta will climb to a career-high ranking of 32 at least after her work in Australia over the last fortnight, and the winner will face Angelique Kerber of Germany, who's just scored her first ever win over the former world number 1 Victoria Azarenka.
Thanks very much indeed, Lisa. We'll be going backwards and forwards, of course, once that game gets underway. Mr. Parry will be giving you his in-depth analysis and some commentary of what's actually going on down there. Lots more for us to talk about as well.
Indeed.
You know what we didn't talk about yesterday was old Mr. Parkinson. Who
Cecil.
passed away, Cecil Parkinson, which we
okay.
meant to do yesterday, but we should probably give a mention to.
Well, I suppose we should, because he was a key member of the sort of Thatcher Revolution.
Yeah.
And she liked him because he was good-looking.
Right.
And Mrs. Thatcher liked good-looking
and
men.
did she not also like him because he came from a sort of similar-ish background, that he didn't come from the sort of mega upper classes, he came from a sort of a relatively middle-class background?
I think his father was like a printer or something like that, you know, and he went to the local grammar school. This is why I've always been in favour of grammar schools, because I believe it gives children from deprived backgrounds or working-class backgrounds the opportunity to do well. And he did well at the local grammar school somewhere in the north of England and gone to Emmanuel College, Cambridge.
He did.
And that's why he became a member of the establishment.
Right.
When I say Mrs. Thatcher liked good-looking men, and she did, it was well known. We had a...
Well, Alan Clark used to write about it in his diaries, didn't he?
He did, yeah, all the time, yeah. And you remember that... there was a guy who ran Topshop once, Ralph Halpern, was it?
I think so,
And he got done in a scandal involving...
Was that the 5 times a night guy?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. He got done in a scandal involving a young sort of model, you know, about 19 or 20, who he was Rogerising.
Yeah.
And I say that without fear or favour, because she told the story about it, the Chris and Tell thing. And in exchange, he gave her a discount card for Topshop. You know,
very nice of him.
Exactly, yeah.
Man after your own heart.
Exactly. But what happened was Max Clifford, a gentleman who is now...
At Her Majesty's pleasure.
That's right, yeah. Who was the publicity sort of king of Fleet Street in those days.
Yeah.
He's the one who invented the lie that David Mellor was wearing a Chelsea shirt when he was Rogerising
Antonio Sanchez,
yes. That's right, which was untrue. And another untruthful story that appeared in a paper was that Ralph Halpern told his mates that when he was at Downing Street once and he was posing for a picture with Mrs Thatcher, he pinched her bottom.
Yeah.
And, of course, it was an outrageous story which had no basis of truth whatsoever.
Right.
But, you know, when somebody like Mass Clifford gets into the publicity machine like that, you've got no defence against it, because people say, well, hang on, you know, you've been Rogerising this young girl, you know.
It must be true.
It must be true and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the point of my story is, do you remember, he may have left by the time you got there, a photographer at the Daily Express called Terry Disney?
Terry Disney?
Yeah.
I don't think I remember him.
Well, Terry Disney was a sallow character, and by that I mean that he was an extremely good photographer, but he was a man of no humour whatsoever. And he, when I say sallow, he had a very grey, long face, you know, and he just used to go and get the job done and do it. He actually took the first pictures of the ladies involved in the Profumo scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Mandy Rice-Davis and Christine Keeler.
Yes.
He found them, God knows where, you know, he was asked to track them down and all that, got the first pictures of them, and took them in his car to the Daily Express. And when other people in Fleet Street heard that Terry Disney had found them, was taken to the Express, all the other photographers...
I'm surprised he didn't take him to some kind of safe house.
Well, we didn't realise that we'd been rumbled, and and it's before my time, by the way. I heard all this from people who'd been there like 30 years. When he got to the back door of the Express, all the other photographers
were
from
already
the other
there.
papers were already there.
See, that's a massive schoolboy error.
Yeah,
you never bring him to somewhere that everyone expects him to be.
Yeah, but photographers are not used to try and hiding people. They're used to just getting them back, you know what I mean? And so he got out the car and he thumped another photographer in the face and knocked his teeth out because he wouldn't get out the way.
Right.
Seriously, you know. Yeah. And it caused a bit of a scandal. But the main story is the story that Terry Disney told me when I went out and did a job with him once, and, you know, we were hanging around in a pub waiting for the victim or the subject of the story, I should say. You know, or the victim.
Steady.
Yeah, absolutely. He told me about the first time he was told to go out and take a picture of this new MP called Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
And he had to go to a house in North Finchley because their constituency was Finchley. Right. She'd already moved up there. And when he got to the house, he got a remarkable story. He said he went up the garden path, knocked on the door, you know, and a woman answered the door. Hello, are you Margaret Thatcher? Yes, come in. I'm Terry Disney from the Daily Express. Oh, how nice to see you. What do you want to take some pictures of you, please, in your back garden or something like that? Oh, really? Fine. So he claims, Mrs. Thatcher said, well, I'll just go and change it to something more appropriate.
Yeah.
So she goes upstairs, and then he's waiting downstairs, and then he hears a shout, oh, Mr. Disney, come and help me.
Right.
And he claims he went upstairs, and in Mrs. Thatcher's bedroom, Mrs. Thatcher was in her underwear.
Right.
She was in a petticoat.
Right.
And she opened...
She would have been a relatively youngish woman at this point, right?
Absolutely, yeah. She'd have been in her 30s, I think. And she opened a wardrobe, and she kept taking dresses out and holding them against her and saying, oh, Mr. Disney, will this be...
Where was Dennis at this point?
Well, I've no idea. I don't know. I don't even know if she's married to Dennis
Off
in
in
those
the Middle
days.
East,
you know,
probably.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. And he claims that she was the most flirtatious woman he'd ever been to photograph.
Really?
Yeah. And, you know... I mean,
well, certainly Alan Clark and his diaries would suggest that that's true.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Because he thought that she quite liked the idea of all these blokes that she was in charge of.
Yes.
Sort of, you know, arousing various
lusting
members
after
of
her
them.
and all this kind of stuff, But Terry, I said, Terry, what are you trying to say to me? Are you trying to say that, you know, Mrs. Thatcher... He said, no. He said, I'm not suggesting for a moment that if I'd have pounced on her, she might have responded. He said, but I'm telling you, it's very rarely you get invited into a woman's bedroom when you're a complete stranger to be asked, you know, what... And she's prancing around in her petticoat and to be asked which sort of dress she should wear. He said she was very flirtatious. I said, oh, well. I said, did that make you good for the camera? He said, oh, absolutely. She was a delight to take a picture of, She warmed to the you know, the focus of the camera. So, but that's why Cecil Parkinson really had such a great career. I mean, he's a very charming, erudite sort of man, you know what I mean?
He was.
And he appealed to Mrs. Thatcher. In fact, in one of the obituaries I read, it said she thought he was the most manly man because he used to tell her bad news without a quaver in his voice.
Yeah.
And quiver in his voice, I should say. And everybody he had plenty of quavers. That's a musical note, isn't it?
It is.
But she said every other man who used to come into her, you know, if, for instance, the Chancellor was coming to give her bad news about the economy. And
they were all in fear of her.
Yeah, or the Defence Secretary was coming in to say, look, you know, the Falklands isn't going well. They all said it with she said, Parkinson just gave it you straight and had supreme
Although he
confidence
didn't tell her about Sarah
in
Keys,
himself.
of course, did he?
Well, he had to in the end because
she got a letter.
It.
No, but she got a letter apparently
she
from
did,
the father of the woman in question.
Yes, she did. That's
and she had to confront him with it and say, "What's all this?"
What happened was, at the time, Cecil Parkinson was about to be promoted to Foreign Secretary in the wake of the 1983 election victory, in which the Tories won a parliamentary majority of 147 seats.
Yeah.
And he was the chairman who had masterminded the campaign.
Right.
So the famous picture of him at the Downing Street window with her and Dennis waving.
That was the one against Michael Foot, presumably.
That was the one against Michael Foot, that's right, in 83.
Yeah.
And he was going to be made Foreign Secretary. Anyway, she got the letter, you're absolutely right, so she called him in and said, look, it's too high profile Foreign Secretary, in case it's getting any worse, I'm going to make you Trade and Industry Secretary, so he kind of settled for that.
Right.
But then what happened was, the family of Sarah Keyes was so annoyed that he still had a political career.
Yeah.
They waited until the party conference, which was in the October, because all this happened in May.
Yeah.
And then they sold the story to a national newspaper on the day of the Tory party conference, revealing that he had a child, he'd abandoned the child, and the child wasn't well.
And he was a cad.
And he stepped down that night.
Yeah. Short career.
And
which could have been,
the party
longer.
conference was in Blackpool, actually, I remember it.
It was, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, we've got loads to do. I'm going to tell you coming up about the Helly Aa Fire Festival up in the Shetlands.
Oh, I love that.
Took place last night.
That's great.
Took place last night, apparently.
Brilliant. Is that where they swing the flaming barrels of tar around their heads?
Something like that.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love that. I must go to that.
We should
go to that. Yeah, definitely.
Right. We should go to it. And also, Joe Konta's going to take to the court very shortly.
Yeah.
He's just warming up. This is Talk
Excellent.
Sport.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League.
Terrific hit!
Featuring exclusive national radio commentary of 64 live games.
Oh, he's cracked that into the top corner!
Plus around the grounds with live reports from every game throughout the season.
What a fantastic strike! Now comes the goalkeeper and he's lifted it over the top.
The Barclays Premier League on Talk Sport with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League.
I check the fixtures online. I order my pizza online. And when I want to check my sexual health, I can do that online too. The Confidant Home Test accurately checks for 10 main infections at the same time, from a single sample. It's fast, discreet, and it's 100% confidential. Order your Confidant Home STI test kit online at confidanttest.com. Results are not intended to replace medical advice and should be used as a convenient way of getting tested before consulting a GP. Age 16 plus. UK customers only. Terms and fees apply.
In April, the government's new national living wage becomes law.
Workers aged 25 and over will be legally entitled to £7.20 per hour.
That's 50p more in your pocket for every hour you work.
It's a step up in pay. A step up for hard workers. It's a step up for families.
And employers will be stepping up too.
The government's new national living wage.
A step up for the UK. To find out more about the new national living wage, visit livingwage.gov.uk.
As much as light can be illuminating, it can also be blinding. But because the new BMW 1 Series with high beam assist technology dips the full beam automatically, oncoming traffic is never dazzled. And you can keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Enlightened thinking. The new BMW 1 Series. Pure BMW.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Talk Sport.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire. I'll take you to burn. Fire. I'll take you to learn.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We've got Ask Porky coming up a little bit later on, of course. I was telling you, Mr. Parry, that just last night they had the world-famous Helly Aa Fire Festival.
I know, that's fantastic.
Up in Lerwick, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Yes.
But the game between Joe Konta and Wed Jan has got underway.
It
so
has.
I'd like you to tell us what's going on.
Right, OK, let me tell you what's going on. Ms. Zhang is serving, OK?
Right.
And as it's just started, she's won the first point.
Yeah.
Now, our girl, Joanna Konta, right, is making an absolutely spirited return to the Zhang service, but she's lost the second point, and it's now 30-love to Ms. Zhang against our girl, Joanna Konta.
Don't forget to give us a bit of descriptive stuff
A
about
bit
what
of
they're wearing.
descriptive stuff. I'm going to tell you right now, OK? They've got very similar outfits on. Miss Zhang, who is now serving her third serve and battering the ball across the net in a very impressive fashion, OK? In fact, Joanna Konta's getting it back, but Miss Zhang will not be thwarted. Oh, the ball has gone into the net. It was a backhand from Joanna Konta on the 6th stroke of the rally, but it crashed into the net. Now then, let me tell you, both girls looking very similar in what they've got on. Now, this should not be allowed in tennis terms because for those...
You get confused.
I do get confused. And for those hard of sight, or I was going to say hard of hearing for a minute, but it doesn't actually matter if you can hear or not. It's what you see on a tennis court. And you will find they've both got white skirts and crimson or red tops. And that makes it very difficult indeed to, when you're looking at it. I mean,
isn't Joanna Konta's pink?
No, Joanna Konta's got a purple top on. She's got a purple top
pink?
on. No, it's purple.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's a purple top. I can tell you. I'm very good at recognising colours.
Yeah.
And Miss Jing has got what I would say... Miss Zhang, a sort of purple to raspberry type top on. But it's very hard just at a glance. So what you do is you recognise them the same way as I recognise a horse in a race. I'm not saying that these ladies look like horses. They don't. But they both wear visors, and the visor on Miss Zhang... Visors. The visor on Miss Zhang is red, a very distinctive red, and the visor on Miss Konta, who is our girl, is white, and that's the way you can recognise who is who, because you've got to understand, there's nothing wrong with my vision, but this is on Centre Court in Melbourne.
Rod Laver Arena.
It's the Rod Laver Arena. It's a massive auditorium, and the cameras are, for most of the time, so well,
Well, it's pretty empty, actually, isn't it?
No, it's not empty.
It is. It's
it is, there. Yeah, it is. I thought everybody was wearing green, but that's the colour of the seats.
No, that's the colour of the seats.
You're right, yeah, absolutely. So what I was going to say was, most of the time the camera is far enough back
I thought it was supposed to be a commentary.
Excuse me, to see the expanse of the court, so that you can see one girl delivering the serve to the other.
Why don't you give us some straight commentary on the first serve?
Right,
now.
first serve here from Joanna Konta, okay? She's bounced the ball 4 times, 5 times. She's now throwing it up in the air. Her right arm goes back with her racket, bang! And it goes over the net, and it's well in. It's just on the line. But the return from Miss Zhang is long, as we call it in the tennis commentating world. And that means that our girl, Joanna Konta, is now 15-love up in the second game, which is her first service game.
Excellent.
Okay,
right. We'll return to it later on.
But remember, it's the
on.
White visor for Joanna Konta. Visor, and it's the red visor for Miss Zhang.
Yeah. I think she's taken it off actually now.
Who?
Zhang.
No, she hasn't.
You sure?
I'm certain.
Okay.
Oh, yes, she has. Yes, she has. She's taken it off. Her hair is black. So that's another way of recognising her. The other recognisable feature...
I thought we were going to stop now.
Hang on, the other recognisable feature...
to do it this long.
Don't worry. The other
30 love.
Yeah, 30 love. The other recognisable feature is that our girl, Joanna Konta, has purple shoes on, and Ms. Zhang has white shoes on. So there you go.
Thank you very much indeed. Now let's get back to the Up Helly Aa celebrations,
yes.
right? They're held across the Shetland Islands. Have you ever been to the Shetland Islands?
No.
Neither have I. What's the most northerly point you've been to in Britain, then?
Me?
Yeah. You've been to John O'Groats?
No, and I haven't been to Fort William. Most northern
Have you
point...
been to Inverness?
No, most northern point I've been to is Glasgow.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you've never been north of Glasgow?
No.
Well, we'll have to change all that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind
changing
changing
to the
all
Highlands.
That. I wouldn't mind changing all that. I mean, funny enough, you should say that. I've been beyond Scotland to Iceland 3 or 4 times.
Well,
I like Iceland very much indeed.
To the west, isn't it?
And I have an ambition to go to the Faroe Islands. But the problem I find about islands is that they have an innate charm when you first go there, but you very soon feel imprisoned, in my view.
Yes.
I was in the Scilly Isles once.
Yeah.
It was a tremendous
story. Do you not
story.
think that extends to the British Isles, though, as well? Because don't forget, we live on an island, albeit it's quite a big island.
Such a big island that you can drive for 6 hours and you're still on the island.
Yeah, but it's not that big, though.
It's
not as big as Australia,
Well,
for
I
example.
don't get cabin fever in being in Britain. In fact, I'll tell you something. There are many, many parts of this country I still want to see before I die.
Yeah.
I've never really explored the Norfolk Broads, East Anglia. I've never really explored...
But that's near your place, isn't it?
What?
The Norfolk Broads?
No.
Not far from Suffolk, is it?
No, people don't realise the huge distance between Suffolk and Norfolk.
Well, how far?
Oh,
well, it's a bordering county. It's about bordering county.
I don't care. It's 100 miles from my place.
Well, if you're standing on the border, there's no distance at all.
Well, of course it's not, you idiot. But what I'm saying is, Orwell Quay, just outside Ipswich, which is my place, where I keep my boat, of course, my rib.
Your dinghy.
You can go 100 miles north as the crow flies, And
why would you go as the crow flies? What if you're driving?
Well, or if you're driving and hit the north coast of Norfolk, okay?
Yeah.
And
Ipswich to Norwich is 45 miles, takes an hour and 10 minutes.
That's Ipswich to Norwich.
Yeah, but well, that's not very far, is it?
Well, hang on. And then Norwich to the north coast of East Anglia, north coast of Norfolk, is another 45 miles.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, it's about 100 miles, okay?
Right.
I know these things, you know?
Right, well, that's twice as far. It's not, I mean, from Ipswich to King's Lynn is a little bit further.
Well, King's Lynn's in the other direction, you idiot.
Well,
King's Lynn is in Suffolk.
Well, King's Lynn is northwest of Ipswich.
Yes, it is, but it's still in Suffolk.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Norwich is in Suffolk, isn't it?
No, Norwich is in Norfolk.
Norwich is in Norfolk,
you
right?
idiot.
So
because when Norwich play Ipswich...
So where's Ipswich, then?
Norfolk plays Suffolk,
right?
Eh?
Well, if King's Lynn is further north than Norwich...
What?
King's Lynn's further north than Norwich.
Ah, yeah, you're right. I was thinking of...
So King's Lynn can't be in Suffolk.
I was thinking of Bury St Edmunds, sorry.
Yeah, were you?
That's right, which is very
because
similar.
Because they sound very similar.
No, well, it's a similar
Bury St Edmunds
town.
is very close to Ipswich.
Yes, I know that.
Well, that's in Suffolk.
I know, that's what I said.
So Norfolk is Norwich, and Norfolk is also King's Lynn.
It is.
Surely.
It is.
What about East Dereham?
East Durham.
Yeah.
East Durham, I don't know. I'll tell you where I went
Stowmarket,
once.
that's in Suffolk, isn't it?
I'll tell you where I went once, right? So I was in the...
So it's not a very big area at all. You're talking absolute cobblers.
Oh, no, it's a huge area.
Well, once you get north of King's Lynn, right?
Yeah.
Then you're outside of Norfolk and you're into Lincolnshire, aren't you?
Well, a bit, if you're on that part of the world.
Boston is up there, yeah, so it's just a tiny little kind of
it's not.
outlet of
No,
the
it's
British
not.
Isles.
No, let me tell you.
Rubbish.
I was working on the Sunday Mirror one night on a Saturday,
yeah.
and it was about 6 o'clock, and all of a sudden, a story broke. And
what was the noise was that?
That was the
story alert for the Sunday journalist who didn't know what story was.
That was P.J. Wilson, right, the legendary news editor.
Was he not the guy that went off and started running a load of ski companies? Or
I've
something
no
like
idea.
That?
He was a madman. Yeah,
No. He ran a whole series of businesses on the side. And I'm not suggesting that there was any nefarious activity going on, obviously.
Yeah.
But, you know, the fact that he ran, I think he ran a ski resort or something like that in the middle of the Alps.
Well, maybe.
Which people discovered, many years after he'd left the company.
It was probably funded, by the way, by, the fact that he was very good at using his budget, if you see what I mean, for the benefit of the paper, of course.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you another guy who, remember Colin Bell?
No, you ask me this every time you mention his name.
Yeah.
He drank himself to death, didn't he?
Cole drank himself to
Died
death.
in front of his wife after she was making spaghetti.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, that was a different guy.
Oh, was it?
Guy. No, Cole just drunk himself to death. He went down over a period of years. It was horrible.
Right.
He looked like a victim of AIDS at the end. It was very, very sad indeed. But when he got booted out of Fleet Street, because unfortunately I had to sack him, because he was my best friend, but he was a drunk.
So you had to sack him?
I did, yeah.
Why did you have to sack him?
Well, because he was bringing down the efficiency of the department.
Well, why couldn't you get somebody else to sack him?
Well, I felt it was my responsibility. So anyway, he then went off and started, because he was a very good skier, and he started a travel company. And it was so easy to do in those days. You just rang up all the travel companies, said you still work for Fleet Street, and you'd take a load of skiing parties to Switzerland, and you got the trip free and all that kind of stuff. You know, the only problem was the first time he tried it, he decided to buy everybody a drink in the lounge at Gatwick before they went off to Austria. Unfortunately, he got completely bladderated, lost track of time completely.
Missed the plane.
Right. So all the skiers missed the plane, couldn't find another plane till the following day. When they got there, the hotel rooms had been taken. I mean, it was just a complete fiasco. And I'm afraid that was the end of his career as a ski courier with his own ski company. It collapsed. He'd had an office in Esher and everything, you know. But unfortunately, he didn't get any more work after that.
Dear me.
Yeah.
Well, more tales like that coming up. Also, we'll keep you updated. It's one game all between Joe Konta and Wed Jan. We'll hear from Lisa O'Sullivan very shortly as well. Let's just talk sport.
Talk sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk sport.
Millions of people living as home.
Now, we just heard that Joe Konta had broken the serve.
Yes.
Let's go back to Lisa O'Sullivan and get her view on what she thinks Miss Konta is looking like so far. Lisa?
Yeah, she was looking great in those first three games, and then, of course, I said she looked like she had none of those nerves and double faulted with the first serve of the fourth game, but then did ace the next point, and both of these players have nothing to lose. They're both in unfamiliar territory. Neither of them have got to this stage of a Grand Slam tournament before. So I think there's going to be nerves on both sides. But Jo Konta has to be the favourite coming into this match. She's been in sensational form, especially in the second half of last season. So she comes into this match with a lot more confidence. And she, I think, has got a better understanding of quite how good a tennis player she is. Still quite young and, still young. And is looking at a great future if she keeps playing the kind of tennis she can can, especially when that first serve is really firing.
Yeah, so Lisa, is that what she's known for, to sometimes buckle with nerves and pressure?
It was something years ago. She used to overthink things. She's very clever, she's very funny, but she used to overthink things and get kind of nervous of it. And in the last few years, she's been working not only with a Spanish coach, she had a funding cut by the LTA last year, who decided that the older players should actually stand on their own 2 feet. So they cut her funding, and she went over to Spain and has been working with a Spanish coach whose friend also used to be a tennis coach, but is actually a psychiatrist, and he's been helping her work on the mental game, and she's much stronger now mentally. And you see it with these rallies that she goes into. She just doesn't give up. She's so aggressive, so confident of staying in the rally that she, as we saw in the last game, she will make the opponents buckle because they begin to doubt themselves.
She hit a lovely lob as well in the previous point, which I think she's
got all the tricks.
She's just won another game, hasn't she?
Yes, she has. She's leading 3-1 while we were talking, and is love 15 up on the Chinese player's serve.
Excellent stuff.
Excellent.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
We'll be checking back in with you very, very shortly. Some takes on your commentary on the previous point.
Yes.
Mark the Taxi says, why would someone play tennis wearing a visa? Bantam Bouncer says, aren't you two landowners in Scotland? Isn't your land north of Glasgow? It is. You know that,
it is.
That gift,
yes,
a very pleasant gift that we got before
Yes.
Christmas. I haven't yet still examined that properly.
Well,
I know it's in Glencoe or around about Glencoe.
yeah,
What do you mean you have?
Well, I have.
Well, what I haven't discovered yet is how big the plot of land is.
Well, I have experience in owning land, if you see what I mean. So,
well, having experience in owning land means nothing. I've got experience in owning land as well, but this particular plot of land, we don't know how small it is or how big it is. So we have to discover that.
Yeah, we need to
I'll try
find
and do that this week.
I think you've got to go there to find out, haven't you?
Eh?
I think you've got to go there to
No,
find
you haven't.
out.
No, there's a link that you can...
In all the
you can
documents
go on.
that I looked at, there didn't seem to be any... It didn't say, you've got half an acre or a quarter of an acre or anything.
But there's a website that you can go on to find...
Well, haven't you done that yet?
No, I haven't, no. Why are you looking at me with such disgust?
Well, because I think
I'm
that's
very
something
busy.
you should have done.
I'm very busy. I'm the one that's got lots of other things to do when I'm not here.
Oh, yeah, what are you got to do
Well, I've got
then?
to look after a lot of children for a start.
Oh, a lot of children,
You think that doesn't take any time?
Well, you don't live with your children, do you?
No, I don't, but I see them at the weekends.
Right, okay, yeah, sure.
And so the point is that, I have to...
Is that when you're not getting bladderated?
I have to spend a lot of time with them. I don't get bladderated when I'm with the kids.
Listen, there's a line come out in one of tomorrow morning's papers, right, and it's a really, really good one.
Yeah.
It's claiming that if Ryan Giggs does not get the offer of the job when Louis van Gaal is removed or removes himself from Manchester United, he could sever his 28-year relationship with the club.
What's he going to do that for?
Well, because he feels he's
Why
been
does he
stepped
think
over.
he's done anything in order to get the job?
Well, listen, I tell you what...
He was given the job at the end of last season, wasn't he? Or two seasons ago, when David Moyes was fired.
Yeah.
And he didn't exactly set the heather on fire.
Oh, come on, he was given 4 games.
Well, that's what I mean. So,
for
but
goodness sake.
how has he got his track record?
Well, yeah, but listen, what I've discovered, and this is very, very important.
Yeah.
How old do you think Ryan Giggs is?
I think he's 42.
Exactly right. And
that's not
right,
bad, is it?
And when Howard Kendall,
He's 47 in 5 years.
when Howard Kendall won his first division title, equivalent to the Premier League today, he was 38, and he was only 40 when he won his second.
Right,
Brendan,
but he stopped playing a lot earlier than Ryan Giggs did, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yes, absolutely right, he did.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Giggs was playing until 2 years ago.
Until about 39, wasn't he? 3 years ago, yeah. What I was going to say is Brendan Rodgers... I think was appointed Liverpool manager way before he was 42. I think he was just 40 or something
but again,
like that.
he didn't have a playing career.
Well, yes, I accept that, but what I'm saying is Ryan
He's on
Giggs...
the Breakfast Show, by the way.
Sorry? Yeah.
He's on the Breakfast Show.
Yeah. Ryan Giggs probably thinks to himself, at 42, he should now have at least 1 foot on the managerial
you might think that.
ladder.
I mean, you might think that you should have 1 foot on all sorts of ladders. Doesn't mean you should have one.
No.
The fact that he thinks that doesn't mean that he's qualified. I mean, what gives him the idea that he should be talked about in the same breath as people like Louis van Gaal, who's got, whatever you may think of him, has got a pretty good track record of winning things at various
Louis van Gaal
clubs.
is 22 years older than
Doesn't
him.
matter. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Manuel Pellegrini, Gus Hiddink.
But what Giggsy has got is he's a Manchester United legend.
Yeah, but so what? I mean, which other Manchester United legends have led...
You don't know what it's like to be a legend, do you?
I'm not interested in what it's like to be a legend.
Why?
What I'm saying to
Would you like to be a legend?
Not particularly, no.
Really?
No.
Oh, it's quite good fun, actually.
Well, what, you think you're a legend?
Sorry, what?
You think you're a legend?
I didn't say that.
Legend of what?
Oh, come off it.
Legend of the Fall is about all you're a legend
You're
of.
putting words in my mouth, mate. I mean, I'm just saying that, it's everybody should have the aspiration to be a legend.
If anybody wants to know what your characteristics are and what you think of yourself, they just have to listen to this show for 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
For example, telling Steve Nichol that you've got a better penalty record at Old Trafford than Wayne Rooney.
Yes.
Because you actually believe that.
That's factual.
But it may well be factual.
And I didn't say I've got a better one.
Yes,
I
you
said
did.
I started off having a better one.
You said you've got a better record at Old Trafford than Wayne Rooney.
Has scored a few penalties at Old Trafford since those days.
Yes, he has.
Literally,
but that's typical of
when
you,
I
though.
scored, my record at Old Trafford, because I did it for a charity match at half time, was taken one, scored one. And I swear to you, on the same day, Wayne Rooney's, because he'd taken one the previous week and missed it. It was his first penalty at Old Trafford.
But technically your record
his was
is still...
taken one, missed one.
Technically your record will still be better than him because you've never missed a penalty, as far as you're
that's
concerned,
right.
at Old Trafford.
Never missed a penalty at Old Trafford.
But you have missed them elsewhere, haven't you? When are we going to have that penalty shootout, by the way?
Well, I think we'll get that whenever we can work it out. We can work it out. That was a Beatles song.
That.
Yeah.
Here's one from Becky. It says, shocking the girls should wear similar outfits. Surely one should be wearing their away dress. Don't confuse Porky. And then here's one from Rob who says, I thought everyone was wearing green, but it's the colour of the seats. Porky's at it again. #plank. Duncan. So they are wearing visas. Sure they aren't wearing MasterCards.
What?
And here's James saying, never heard two female tennis players described as horses with credit cards on their heads.
Oh, no, I didn't say that at all. I said that the way to take them is the same way as I distinguish a horse in a race, and that is that you can tell from the cap.
The colours.
Yeah, by the way, I'm just looking at some of the newspapers' reports tomorrow. It's see, you and I have been in Fleet Street a long time, Mike, and this will grab you as much as it grabs me.
Right.
And a lot of the papers on the back, although it's a very late finish, it's got Liverpool 0, Stoke City 1, aggregate 1-1.
Yeah.
Liverpool win 6-5 on penalties.
See, does this not tell you why newspapers are on the way out?
Right. Now, I've got one here in my hand.
The first edition, before they slip the back page, as we used to call it,
yes.
so catch up,
yes.
will go to places like Cornwall. So I remember when I was working at the Mirror, people would ring up from Cornwall saying, well, I've got the paper here,
What's
and
the score?
it's 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and it's got the score after extra time.
Well,
not penalties.
No, what I'm saying is, I've given you two papers which have got the full, even though it's very late, aggregate 1-1, Liverpool won 6-5 on pens, aggregate 1-1, Liverpool won 7 pens. I've got a third paper here, and literally, I just don't know how they can put this paper out. Liverpool 0, Stoke 1, score at 90 minutes, 1-1 on aggregate.
Yeah.
They didn't even wait.
Well, the Express is the one I was looking at earlier.
That's right, exactly.
Arnautovic Stokes it up.
Yeah,
Klopp
exactly.
shocked by disputed goal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the story.
No, it's not the story. The story is that Liverpool are through to the final, and that's not even on the back page.
But what's happened now,
tomorrow morning's
is
paper.
that the proprietors
That's
of these
shocking.
organisations have decided
Absolutely
that actually
terrible,
the idea of waiting for the page to be done because it was an hour later is not actually worth the money.
Oh, it's terrible.
And that people are buying the paper for other reasons. So they're just going to. So effectively, what it means is if you live in a sort of far-flung part of the United Kingdom, certainly of any part of England,
it's true.
You're not going to get the actual football result.
Not going to get the
which
football
is bonkers.
results. It is bonkers.
Here's one from Barry, who's an expert on Norfolk. He says Norfolk is the 5th largest county in England at 5,372 square kilometres.
Told you.
I live north of Kings Lynn, and that's Norfolk. And he says northwest of Kings Lynn is Lincolnshire, which is what I said.
Yes, yeah.
Stephen says, here's an interesting fact from Mike Parry. The A47 runs through Norfolk. Hashtag 47 rules.
What's that?
The A47 runs through Norfolk.
So the word 40, the number 47 comes up again.
There it is again.
Yeah, I don't know why people keep doing that.
Well, because it's the most frequently occurring random number, I keep telling you.
Yeah, you keep saying that. Now then, I need to talk to you about the fact that, according to a new report, your life is better if you live near a pub.
Is it?
Your life is worse as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
if you live near a pub.
Depends on the pub, I suppose, doesn't it?
I'm seriously.
Do you remember we were having a drink around the corner when we were doing those shows during the day for Hawksley and Jacobs between Christmas and New Year?
Yeah.
And there were signs all around that pub that said, please be respectful to our neighbours.
Yeah, exactly.
Please keep the voices down.
Exactly. But according to this report, you have a feeling of well-being if you live near a pub.
Well, how far is the nearest pub away from you?
A good way away. I mean, I live on the edge
Can you give us anything a bit
of
more
the Downs.
specific?
Yeah, I would say it's a mile.
A mile to the nearest pub?
Yes, a mile, yeah.
I don't know how you cope.
Yeah. Oh, no, I cope easy. I walk over there if I go there. But the one thing I can't stand is having a pub like 4 doors away.
Isn't there a pub near the station where you go the other way? Surely there must be.
No, it's a mile. Honestly.
There's no bar near the station.
Well, sort of, but I mean, it's a bit of a complicated route to get there, if you see what I mean. But
but you can walk from the station to your place, can't you?
Depends which station I go to. If I'm going to Epsom Downs,
well,
or if
the nearest station.
Nearest station could be. I mean, they're lovely pubs.
Well, how do you get back from the station?
I sometimes walk.
You walk, and how far is that?
About half a mile.
Why is it so difficult for you to answer these questions?
Well, because you're confusing me with my geographical locations.
So it's half a mile to the nearest station.
Yeah.
And there's no pub in by the station.
No, it's half a mile from the station.
I don't believe you.
No, it is. It is, honestly. Believe
It's
me.
Surrey.
I know. Yeah,
It's a high street. It's a town.
No, it's not. It's not. You're confusing my
I've been
location.
There.
No,
I've
honestly.
been there.
Honestly.
I walked from the station with you.
No, you don't need to worry about that. That might not be the location I'm talking about, so don't worry about it, okay?
You're just a man of mystery.
No,
when
not
you
at
don't
all.
need to be.
Not at all.
Unbelievable. Right, we'll pick up more of this coming up very shortly.
Okay.
We'll keep you updated on the tennis, of course. Jo Konta seems to be going quite well so far. No Porky jinx for her. This is Talk Sport.
You stand on the sideline, come rain or come shine, and more often than not, it's the former. But you're always making some noise and supporting your boys, even though you'd much rather be warmer. Your shoes are covered in mud, but the game's in your blood. Nothing will ever stop you supporting. So before you head out, and your stomach cries out, "Don't forget me, I need feeding," it's one of those times when nothing else will do. Like a hot bowl of big soup from Heinz. With a big range of delicious chunky flavours, Heinz Big Soups are the great tasting way to go to the match feeling like the big man. If you're looking for no-nonsense hearty flavours, every Heinz Big Soup is packed full of delicious chunky vegetables. So before you head out to the match, make sure you're ready to give your team the support they deserve. With Heinz Big Soup. Heinz Big Soup. Go big or go hungry.
There is a person who can help deliver aid to the desperate under the most challenging conditions. They can maintain equipment so advanced most don't even know it exists. And they can start by committing just 27 days a year. That person's you. As an RAF reservist, you'll receive world-class training to develop new and existing skills. And you can do it all in your spare time. Find your role as an RAF reservist. Search RAF recruitment now.
I check the fixtures online. I order my pizza online. And when I want to check my sexual health, I can do that online too. The Confidant Home Test accurately checks for 10 main infections at the same time, from a single sample. It's fast, discreet, and it's 100% confidential. Order your Confidant Home STI test kit online at confidanttest.com. Results are not intended to replace medical advice and should be used as a convenient way of getting tested before consulting a GP. Age 18 plus. UK customers only. Terms and fees apply.
Talk Sport.
It's a shot from the edge of the box.
There is no opposition.
Now with increased comfort.
Talk Sport.
Joanna Konta's serving for the first set. Let's go back to Lisa O'Sullivan, who's watching for Talk Sport. Lisa.
We're watching something of a masterclass from the Brit here as well. He's won 11 of the past 12 points. And the Chinese player Zhang Shui is a little bit rattled, looking a little bit bewildered as well in the game before last, as maybe even a little bit weepy. But she is hitting some fine returns and a couple of winners going in there. But it is Jo Konta who is in control of this match, finding the outright winners, wrong-footing the Chinese player and firing down those powerful ground strokes. And at the moment, it is Konta who is 30-all, 5-2 up in the first set.
Thanks very much indeed, Lisa. Well, if she can get the first set under her belt, that'll be quite something.
It'll be fantastic, won't it? You know, what a boost or a burst that'll be. What do you think about this new film on Dad's Army?
Well, you know, I haven't really seen it, but I saw there was quite a flurry of publicity around it. Yeah, well, I don't know if it was the premiere, but it's maybe it was. You know, there's pictures of Catherine Zeta-Jones on the old red carpet, looking very well.
Yeah.
And I saw a couple of pieces on the TV news last night, interviewing a couple of the people that are in the new cast and all of that. I don't know, really. I mean, it's one of those old shows that I'm not sure I'd particularly want to see a movie made of.
Miss Zeta-Jones plays a journalist.
Yeah.
So why didn't you come to us for some sort of helpful hints of advice on how to play a journalist?
Well, I mean, she's had plenty of run-ins with journalists in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we'd give her, you know, the good side of journalism, the bright side of journalism.
There was a time when
the respectable and responsible side of journalism.
There was a time when I was in charge of the Welsh Mirror. When she was sort of, already a pretty big Hollywood name, but had not long been over there. And her parents still lived in the Mumbles, you know, and she was still very much one of those, you know, when you're running a paper like that, you know, you're kind of, you know, your stars are the stars who are Welsh. You know?
Absolutely,
so
of course,
she was like the poster girl for the Welsh Mirror.
Yeah.
And they were never particularly keen on any of that.
Right.
They really didn't like the idea that journalists were kind of sniffing around her, you know, what she was doing and in any interviews that she was doing. And then she got mixed up with Michael Douglas. And I don't think she's got a great regard for them.
Heard you making a rather nasty, reference to Michael Douglas being very aged earlier on.
Well, he is very aged.
When you were doing the handover with Mr. Goldstein and Jason, And you made I thought it was a rather wicked sort of...
Wicked?
What did you say about him? He's so old now that what?
Well, I can't remember what I said, actually.
You said something pretty horrible, though, didn't you?
I don't think so. I think I said she looked a lot better than he does now.
Yeah, I think
Something
you did.
like that.
Well, that's not very nice,
Well, that's
is
a
it?
matter of fact.
It's not very nice.
Have you seen pictures of Michael Douglas lately?
Yeah, I don't think he looked that bad, to be honest. But, I mean, everybody remembers him in the streets of San Francisco, don't they?
No.
Oh, I tell you
Everybody does not remember him in the streets of San Francisco.
I'll tell you what's on Friday.
Everybody remembers him in Fatal Attraction.
Well, that's on Friday.
Is it?
So I think it's on film 4 or something. Brilliant film. I love the film. It gave rise to the expression bunny boiler, didn't it?
It did, indeed, yeah.
Because you put the bunny rabbit in the pan on the stove.
Don't give the game away in case people haven't seen it.
But I tell you what, if you haven't seen that film, you've got to... What's it called again? Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
Utterly brilliant film, honestly. About... And by the way, anybody out there thinking a bit of sort of, outside of marriage Rogerisation, watch that film and you'll think again. Believe me. In fact, I'm surprised you didn't mend your ways once that film came out.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's Michael
Douglas looks good there.
You think he looks all right?
You know, I had to go to the clinic once in...
What clinic?
In Tucson, Arizona, where... No, seriously.
What clinic are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the sex clinic.
The sex clinic?
Yeah, he went...
You had to go to the sex clinic?
He checked himself into a sex...
You should really prefix the story with the fact that you weren't going there for any reason of a disease.
No, of course not, you idiot.
Because when you say, I had to go to the sex clinic, people would immediately assume you had to go there for a bad reason.
No, what happened was, he was married to a very beautiful ex-model, I can't remember, was it Rihanna or something?
Michael Douglas?
Yeah.
Rihanna?
Yeah, something like that.
She wasn't even born at that point.
Well, there's more than one Rihanna in the world. But the girl he was married to was very beautiful, but then he was found to be...
His first was not Diane Douglas?
Oh, I don't remember.
Before he met Catherine Zeta-Jones?
I'm not sure. But anyway, the girl he was married to was very beautiful, but he was Rogerising sort of, starlet actresses and waitresses and all sorts of things.
Well, he claimed he was a sex addict.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm saying. So anyway, well, he did, but I think that was sort of a kind of, absolve myself of blame because I'm an addict, do you know what I mean, type attitude.
Well, you didn't believe that was
well, not really. So anyway, he goes off to this sex clinic in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
And...
Diandra Douglas was his first name.
Diandra, that's it, yeah.
77 and 95.
That's
so
it,
that would have been your era.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I don't think she was a model.
So, yeah, well, she was very beautiful anyway. So, well, she would be, wouldn't she? Because he was a Hollywood star and a Hollywood producer. He made millions out of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's right.
He produced it.
He did.
And anyway, the story is, so I go over there, it's right in the middle of the desert, just outside Tucson.
Tucson?
Which I'd always wanted to go to.
Tucson?
Yeah. Because, I don't know what you're laughing at. Because, of course, Tucson was the town mentioned in the start of Get Back. Jojo was a man who thought he was...
Yeah, all right, you don't have to sing.
But some grass in Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson.
Anyway, point of the story is... Yeah. I get there, and of course, I had to try and smuggle myself in.
So you thought, actually, you'd be able to get into this place?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I mean, it's like going to a rehab clinic and trying to get in.
Yeah, that's right,
I mean, they guard the celebrities pretty closely.
Yeah, well, they do, actually. I found that out.
They're paying about £1,000 a night to be there in those days.
I was trying to bribe everybody to get in, back door over the roof and everything, you know what I mean? And I never got in. But
what lengths did you go? Did you not pretend to be a doctor or something?
Well, I tried all that, but you're absolutely right. You can't even get to the front door, really.
I thought you had cards printed for this, didn't you?
I did have cards printed, yeah.
And what do the cards say?
Oh, something like, I was some sort of a therapist or something like that. And
have you ever done anything straight?
Well,
honestly,
no, that's not like cunning. That's not being dishonest.
No,
it
is being dishonest.
But anyway, the story is
it's impersonating a medical professional.
It turned out in the long term there is no such thing as sex addiction.
Well, how do you know?
Well, you're just a mega Rogerizer, but it's not an addiction. You have the choice.
Some people are addicted to sex.
Oh, rubbish!
And they're addicted to all sorts of kinds of sex. Well, the key, what they say the definition of addiction is that if you get yourself into situations which would otherwise tend to be bad and which would lead you into a place where you shouldn't go, that means you're addicted. Like if you're a drunk and you wake up in a gutter, or if you wake up in, beaten up.
Yeah,
or
you
wake
know
up
about all them sort of things.
Well,
I don't.
Well, of course you don't.
I have restraint.
So you say. This is coming from the man who doesn't even know what his bar bill is until the next day. The point, I'm not suggesting you're an alcoholic. Some people would say that. I certainly wouldn't.
No.
But what I'm saying is that
nobody would say
in order for you to be addicted to something, it means it's something you have no control over.
Yeah, well,
and you can be addicted to any number of things.
I've got plenty of control. Anyway, the point of the story is the reason we're talking about
the story is you failed miserably to get anything out of this, right?
Point of the story is Catherine Zeta-Jones in it. Now, our old pal Brian Viner has reviewed the film.
Hang on, we haven't finished with the Arizona story, have we? Did they throw you off the property?
Oh, well, I kind of never got in. But I tell you what was the most interesting part of that trip.
The most interesting part of that whole story would be what you filed to the London Daily Express.
Oh, a huge feature on what it's like to be in the sex clinic. Yeah. I found out from people who came out.
Did you?
I waited there for 2
days. Because they all immediately wanted to talk to you as soon as they came out.
Well, yeah, I did. I bribed them. And I found out enough about what went on inside to write a piece as though I'd been inside.
Right.
So I sort of assumed, you know.
You sure you didn't just pull the clips on it?
Sorry?
You didn't just pull the clips on it?
No. No. I found some really new stuff. Now, listen, that music there, right, that's played.
By the way, she didn't win that game, Konta. She's lost. It's now 5-3.
It's 5-3, but that's still a good score. I want to start a new campaign, OK? Because I want to save one of the... Yeah, thank you very much, that's right. I want to save the Army Music School.
What?
Because Mr Cameron...
The Army Music School?
The Army Music School.
The British Army?
The British Army Music School.
What do they learn there?
Well, they have to
play... you mean like marching band type stuff?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, they do, honestly...
when do we use them? They're Trooping the Colour or something?
No, you lose them in Trooping the Colour. Yeah, what about when you're at Wembley and you see the band arrive and walking up and down?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Welsh Guards.
The Welsh Guards.
With the goat and everything.
Yeah,
they used to bring those out for the Welsh rugby games down at Millennium
Of course
Stadium.
they did, yeah. Now, this place is in Twickenham.
Is it?
And the MP there for many, many years was Vince Cable.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Vince Cable was
very fine man.
Well, I always thought Vince Cable actually was
bit of a charlatan.
Well, I thought he was regarded as a lot more, a deep thinking.
He regarded himself very highly, didn't he?
Yeah, as a deep thinking economist. I thought
he was like the Brendan Rodgers of the Liberal Democrats.
He was, yeah, and I didn't think he was very good, to be honest. I thought he wasn't.
Well, his most famous gaffe was when he came out and decided he should put a mansion tax on any houses over £1 million.
That's right, yeah.
Until he discovered that all the houses in Twickenham were worth over £1 million.
That's right.
So he said, OK, make it 2 million.
Yeah, make it 2 million, that's right, yeah. But anyway, what's happening is the Ministry of Defence, as part of their budget cuts, are thinking of closing the place down.
Right.
Now, it's called Nella Hall.
Uh-huh.
It's in Twickenham.
Right.
It's the home of the Royal School of Military Music.
Is it near the stadium?
No, it's not. It's more in the town.
OK.
It's more near in the town, OK?
Uh-huh.
I've actually been past it and I've seen it, and I think it's just a wonderful institution. If it produces, the guy who does the bugle, the guy who sits on the horse with the kettle drums, the guy who walks along with his trombone and all that kind of stuff, it's all beautiful stuff. So what's happened is...
So what, they're not going to bother teaching it anymore?
Well, what they're saying is they will just, sort of divide what's been going on there for 200 years and send them to other places around Britain. Now, Vic Bain, head of the British Academy of Songwriters, Composers and Authors, Vic Bain.
Bain?
Yeah, Vic Bain.
Bain, okay.
Yeah. He said it is the most beautiful and important headquarters of music in this country. And plans for relocation of it are utterly absurd. Now, I want Mr Cameron...
It's 5-4 now.
5-4.
Yeah.
OK, I'll do a commentary on the next game, I think.
Yeah.
Right, now, Mr Cameron, who decided that we didn't need any aircraft carriers anymore and got rid of the Ark Royal, only to find that actually that would have been very useful when he started sending missions out to rescue people all over the world, in
far-flung places.
Far-flung places where migrants were fleeing, all that kind of stuff. He's now, although I'm not saying that he has deliberately said close it down, he's clearly given the OK to the Armed Forces Minister to start going around closing down buildings to save money, and that includes this place.
Is it a particularly nice-looking building? I mean,
it's a beautiful building.
So do you think they want to sell it then? Is that the point?
They want to sell it
into flats. Well, you'd be in favour of that, surely.
No, they want to sell it for 30 million quid.
Yeah, I bet they want to develop it into flats. That's what I'm saying.
Which I think is disgusting.
Well, hang on, that's what you do all the time.
No,
you do. You're always involved in these kind of deals, aren't you?
I don't take historic buildings and throw out historic institutions like the Royal British College of Military Music.
Can't they find somewhere else to do that, though?
No, they can't, because it's been their home for 200 years.
Down. Well, why can't they find somewhere cheaper?
It's the Royal School of Military Music. It's the most respected in the world.
Yeah.
The idea that we can close Nella Hall down is an outrage. They're going to build 15,000 homes on the site when they've knocked it down and taken all the land. Well, I think it's an outrage. I think it's an outrage.
Well, you may think it's an outrage, but surely as long as they're going to continue to teach people the music stuff somewhere else, they don't have to be there, do they?
No. If I said to you, I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll close down the Royal Victoria and Albert Museum and send all the artefacts which are in there to different buildings around the country, you would be outraged because you claim to be a London boy, right? So I am outraged that they're going to close down the Royal School of Military Music.
I don't get outraged like you get outraged.
I get outraged.
Yeah, you're always getting outraged. You spend half your life in a state of outrage.
There's a new Conservative MP, by the way, who beat the... Remember Vic Cable lost his seat in the election?
He did, yeah.
And looked very sullen that night.
He did.
Well, the person who won it was a Tory woman called Tanya Mathias.
Oh, yeah.
And I want her to get busy and save this wonderful institution, this wonderful building called Nella Hall.
Yeah.
She better get onto it right away, otherwise I'm going to start a campaign.
Are you?
Yeah.
Right, well, she should be so...
To save Nella Hall.
So warned. Now, you've got about 30 seconds to tell us what's happening in the tennis.
Right.
Because Jo Konta is serving 5-4 for the set.
Yes.
She's love 15 down.
She is. And the ball whizzes across the net, but it's a first serve that's not a good serve. It's an erroneous first serve.
Out.
She's now on her second serve, OK? She's got a white visa on. Her right arm goes up. Her racket comes swishing down. The ball rockets across the net, but Zhang Yi, the opponent, sends it back. And now it's a fantastic rally. 7, 8, 9...
Out.
It's out. It's out.
It's 15-all then.
It's 15-all.
Yeah. Very good. Well done.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Let's go straight to Lisa O'Sullivan, who's watching the game for us. Lisa.
Yes, and Jo Konta, as you say, had the chance to serve the set there, her fifth set point, but Zhang is finding a little... She's digging deep here. She's found a couple of fantastic winners in the last couple of games, but there are a lot of unforced errors coming from Jo Konta here. She had the chance to take a set lead when she was serving 5-2 earlier in this set. She was a double break of serve up by then, but the Chinese player, Zhang Shui, has got herself back into this match, and they now are back to deuce in what is quite a tightly contested game. This 7 minutes and 10 seconds so far, so it's one of the longer games of the match, and it's the fifth deuce in this game, and Jo Konta aces that point, so again sets herself up for the sixth set point.
So she's certainly trying very, very hard. And if she can get this first set under her belt, then who knows what could happen. Andy Murray and David Ferrer coming up after this, of course, as well. We'll bring you all the updates on that one as well. A couple of tweets here for you, Mr. Parry. One from Rob, who's tweeted at the two mics. He says, Dan Maskell is spinning in his grave. Hashtag I say. And here's one from Ashley, who says, the nearest pub to my house is a good 3 miles or so.
Is it?
Well, she's just won the set.
Yeah, she's just won the
point.
Yeah,
I thought you would have interrupted me.
No.
Let's go back to Lisa. Lisa.
Yeah, an ace from Jo Konta there, as if to say, right, this one, I'm going to take the set with this after 48 minutes. And you'd have thought after a 3 hours and 4 minute match last time round, she'd be looking to try and wrap this one up as quickly as possible. But that's the first set under her belt. She only needs one more. See if she can do this in straight sets.
Yes, we should look forward to that one. Rich says this, it's 45 miles from Ipswich to the Broads, as part of them are in Suffolk, you plank.
No, yeah, but I mean, the real Broads, the Norfolk Broads, are
Well,
obviously...
he's talking about the Broads.
No, but the Norfolk Broads are in Norfolk, believe it or not.
Presumably some of them are in Suffolk.
No, because that'd be the Suffolk Broads.
Well, I've never heard of the Suffolk Broads.
I've never heard of the Suffolk Broads
either.
either.
Well, then why some of the Broads in Suffolk?
I don't know.
What do you call them?
That guy's a plank. Because
No, he says you are.
No, I'm saying he's a plank. The Norfolk Broads are in
very
Norfolk.
Disrespectful to our
and
listeners.
Norfolk is north of Suffolk.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Norfolk.
Right.
The clue is in the NOR,
right,
which is the first three letters of the word north. And the clue in Suffolk is that it begins with S, which is the first letter of south.
Yeah, I've got this here. It says the Broads is a national park in Suffolk.
No, it's not.
It
is. It's not.
It is.
It's rubbish.
And it says the Broads are a network of mostly navigable rivers and lakes in the English counties of Norfolk and Suffolk.
No, they're not in Suffolk.
They are.
They're not.
How can you have a place there and not know that?
I'm telling you, they are not, right?
And look at this, boat. I thought it said boring days out in Suffolk. It's boating days out in Suffolk.
Boating days, yes.
When are you going to get the boat out, actually?
Well, you know...
I think we should do a bit of that.
Soon. Might...
the two mics on a boat. Would be great, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, that's right. Instead of two men in a boat.
Now, I don't know whether you want to hear this, but it's a very long text that's been sent in by Marvin, which is a sort of a summation of this show.
Yes.
Do you want to hear it?
Well, I mean, is it complimentary?
Well, I don't know. I haven't finished reading it yet.
Well, read it.
I don't think it's nasty.
Right, go on.
The Two Mics, definitely the most infectious show on radio. Belly laughed already twice within 10 minutes of the start. P.S. From your voices alone, I've imagined you as teachers. Mr. Graham sounds like a maths teacher, strict but approachable. Does have a laugh or two in him. A stickler for homework being done, as long as you've made an effort. Has a line that if you cross, you'll be in trouble. But generally, the kids enjoy his lessons.
Right.
Mr. Parry's a physics teacher, seriously strict. Get caught whispering in class, and he'll soon be shouting in your face to to behave or lobbing a piece of chalk at your head across the classroom.
Yeah.
Detention or line straight away if he doesn't like the look of your homework.
Really?
Tries to control lessons by Sergeant Major tactics. Kids can't wait to get out of his lessons.
Yes.
And kids resort to copying home and classwork for fear of his wrath, leaving them not taking much in about physics. His type of teaching can be plankish at times.
What a load of rambling nonsense.
I think that's quite interesting.
We had a physics teacher at school called Spid.
Spid?
Yeah, Spider.
Spid?
Yeah, Spid.
You had a lot of weird names.
Oh, we had a lot of weird teachers.
No, but they had weird names.
He was believe it or not, he was a fighter pilot in the.
You sure that's not just what he told you?
Honestly, you won't believe this. I won't. You think I was going to say a fighter pilot in the Second World War?
I thought you were going to say that, yeah.
No, do you know what he was?
Not in the Red Baron's time.
He was. He was honest to God. He was a fighter pilot in the First World War.
Right. There weren't many of them.
I know, it sounds ridiculous, but he was so old. I don't know why we called him...
Did he wear a white coat?
No, he didn't actually.
Because my physics teacher wore a white coat.
Yeah, well, some of them did, but he didn't. No, he was... he used to fly a biplane, right? And he used to tell us about it occasionally. It was quite interesting. So I'm trying to work out how old he must have been. If he was flying a biplane in
1916.
1916, he was 20. That's right. Yeah. So that means he was born in 1896.
Yeah.
So when I was at school in the well, I'm just trying to think what years he would have taught me.
This is when you always start slowing down the story.
No, because he'd have
taught... say 1956.
Oh, no, rubbish. In 1968.
66.
Right. So in 68, he'd only been 72.
Yeah.
He'd only been 72.
Only.
So and he looked 72. In fact, looked 82, to be honest. Yeah. He was a very old man. But he was, honestly, he was a fighter pilot.
Were you good at physics?
No, I was hopeless.
No, it doesn't surprise me.
I didn't understand the coefficients and all that kind of stuff.
Coefficient?
Yeah.
What's that got to do with physics?
Well,
I thought that had to do with the European Champions League.
No, it's the coefficient of the expansion of metal.
Oh, right.
Right? And all that kind of stuff. I never understood
that metallurgy?
No, metallurgy is making things out of metal.
Yeah.
This is the physics of it.
Right.
But no, he was.
Didn't you just have those those kind of water tables that you used to make ripples on? That's what we used to have.
I think so. Yeah.
And you would watch
a bunch of burners all over the place.
No, that was chemistry.
Yeah, well, same thing, isn't it?
It's not the same thing.
Well, science.
Completely different.
I was no good at science.
No, it doesn't surprise me. Still no good at it.
The one bit. I'm going to ignore that.
Yeah.
The one bit of science that I used to like was when we had a chemistry teacher called Mr. Leyshon.
Leyshon?
Yeah, Leyshon.
Yeah.
And he was as dull as ditch water, and he was Welsh. And he told us a story once. He said, there was this, I think I've told you this before, there was this particular chemical which was very explosive when it touched with water. Is it sodium?
Eh?
I think it's sodium or something.
Could be, yeah.
And it's deadly when it's...
Not magnesium you're thinking of?
No, it's put in water. It's deadly. So anyway, he said, and, this horrible Welsh accent, he said, and let me tell you, boys, this is a very dangerous property. In fact, it is so dangerous that in the mid-60s, a madman in New York replaced all the soap in a hotel's bathroom with bars of sodium and blew several people up. I thought it was so funny. I was telling you, laughing,
Yeah.
Oh, Parry, what are you laughing at?
Well, you weren't the only one laughing, though.
Well, I was the only one who was laughing so loud.
Did you used to do that thing where, in chemistry, in the lab, you just turn the gas on?
Well, to blow the place up?
Well, no, just to turn it on.
No.
And then the teachers, and that's what we did in my school, and the teachers would go, there's some kind of hissing noise, and then after a while they'd smell the gas.
Oh, no, you couldn't smell the gas in our school because it was North Sea gas.
Yeah.
It had been rewired for North Sea gas, and it was odourless.
Right.
So you could have blown it up. Lots of people left
But it used to drive him mad because there'd be this hissing noise.
Yeah.
And he would never know which one of the taps was actually on.
No.
And he'd go around all the taps, and every time he found one that was actually on, or he was coming to it, you just switch that one off and turn another one on.
Well, that's a stupid schoolboy-like provocation.
That's the kind of thing we used to do in school. I went to a grammar school, after all.
Yeah, I went to a public school, of course.
No, you didn't go to a public school. You went to a grammar school.
We had a teacher called D.G. Lyons.
Right.
So D.G. spells like almost dog, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, no.
So we used to call him Doggy Lyons.
Right.
And whenever he walked past, I was about like 30 feet away, whenever he walked past, I used to go, woof, woof, doggy.
I'm surprised he didn't kick you out of this place.
Well, that's right. But then I'd duck down behind a table or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he'd stop, and he was a very odd-looking fellow with a bald head, he's a sort of... He was an academic. He had come from Cambridge University or something.
Yeah.
And I was like the mystery sort of beta, whenever I saw
Were you like the
him.
jester of the class or something?
Well, sort of. But, whenever I shouted, woof, woof, doggy. And he would look around and he couldn't see anybody, and then he'd blame somebody else and somebody else to get the blame for it, you know what I mean? Because I was cunning enough to
So you never
get
actually
out of the
took
way.
Responsibility?
No.
Did anyone ever get punished for something that you'd done?
Oh, no, I wouldn't allow that to happen.
Really?
I'd always go and own up if it got that bad. But it was an interesting school because it was full of people. We had a French teacher called Ian Mellor.
Ian Mellor?
Ian Mellor,
That's
yeah.
not very French.
Well, he wasn't French. He came from Oldham. And if Oldham lost on a Monday morning, you got extra French homework. But he was one of these working class heroes who went to Oxford University.
Right.
But he was an absolutely committed, Labour supporting socialist who drove around in a van because he regarded cars as too bourgeoisie. Yeah, that's right, kind of stuff. And used to talk the most unadulterated rubbish, about life in general and all that kind of stuff. But he was a working class boy made good, and it's not like that, come from Oldham, and what's wrong with the working man? A working man's got to be given an opportunity in life, lads, and all that. So he was working in a school where where actually everybody was incredibly privileged, really, came from great homes, except for people like
Apart
me,
from you,
who won a scholarship, through my sheer brains.
See the time, by the way.
And really, he was a class warrior to himself. He should have gone and worked in some secondary modern somewhere and helped the poorer people, in my view.
Maybe he was trying to ruin it for all the privileged ones.
Yeah, maybe he was,
This is Talk Sport. Loads more and another update coming on Joanna Konta next.
If you've recently noticed that you're starting to lose your hair, there are a range of options open to you. You could have a hair transplant, as long as you're earning as much as a Premier League footballer. For the more thrifty amongst us, there's always the classic comb-over. Or if you really want to make a statement, why not go all out and get yourself a poodle perm wig? However, if you want to do something effective, you're going to need facts, not fiction. Regain for Men Extra Strength Scalp Foam contains minoxidil, which has been scientifically proven to help stop and even reverse hereditary hair loss, working deep down at the root. It can be used on a receding hairline, and the earlier you start using it, the higher your chances of success. You could even start seeing visible results in 16 weeks. And now Regain has an app that gives you support and advice to track your progress and maintain your twice-daily routine. Separate the facts from the fiction at regain.co.uk. Regain contains minoxidil. Always read the label.
This Friday, EuroMillions is creating 7 guaranteed UK millionaires who'll also win 7 nights of Dubai luxury. Get ready for a dream trip to the sun this Mega Friday. Play makes it possible. Game-specific rules for non-cash prizes available at nationallottery.co.uk. Games, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
Here in the urban jungle, we see 2 impressive specimens, the agile MG3 and the larger MG6. And now you can explore MG with offers including free insurance, interest-free credit, great part exchange and free weekends away. See mg.co.uk/offers.
Free insurance is underwritten by Allianz Insurance plc. MG 3 and 6 finance subject to status. 18s and over. Financed by MG. 0% representative APR. Terms and conditions apply. Visit mg.co.uk for details.
I know. The state pension is changing.
I know. How much you get will still depend on your national insurance record. And don't forget you may still have a private pension to consider too.
I know. I'll be able to see how much I'm likely to receive and understand what I can do to improve my state pension.
I know. If you reach state pension age on or after the 6th of April 2016, you'll be part of the new scheme.
Make sure you know the facts about the new state pension. Visit gov.uk/yourstatepension for more information.
Don't phone your mother. Phone Talk Sport.
Football on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Atletico Radio.
Talk Sport.
Let's go back to Lisa O'Sullivan with some good news for Joanna Konta fans. Lisa.
Yeah, Joe Konta is leading this second set 2-1. Now, neither player has been able to hold serve so far in this, so Joe Konta's leading 2-1 and she will come out to serve next, so hopefully she'll be able to hold on to a serve and then add the advantage to her 1-set-to-love lead that she has over Zhang Shui of China. And the Brit looking quite good in that game. It's a little bit more nervy with battle of the wits, shall we say, with the two of them on this one. Still plenty of forced and unforced errors in it, but Konta really powerful with those ground strokes, and Zhang looking to try and find something different in her tool bag, but not quite being able to outwit the Brit just yet.
Thanks very much indeed, Lisa. We'll keep you updated as the game goes on. David Ferrer, I should say, against Andy Murray coming up after that. So here's a tennis question for you. It's been sent in by Stephen. It says, can you ask Porky this? How many Grand Slam quarterfinals has Federer overall, do you think? Grand Slam quarterfinals. I'm not expecting
32.
You to know it. It's 47.
47?
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Is that number again?
Yes.
Here's one from Ian who says, the quiz this week should be on the Norfolk Broads. 2 out of 10, maybe. The Broads go to Lowestoft, which is in Suffolk. #plank.
Well, I know Lowestoft very well because...
Well, it's in Suffolk.
A chap... Yeah, I know where Lowestoft is.
Well, it's in Suffolk.
There's a huge...
And the Broads go there.
There's a huge container port there, by the way, one of the biggest in Europe, because it takes all the stuff over to Rotterdam and back, you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. But it's not part of the Broads, honestly. It's not recognised up there as being part of the Broads.
These people are all experts in that area.
Well, you say
I don't
that.
think you are.
Well, I'm an expert in that area as well.
Well, do you want to have a quiz on it then?
No, because
it's
not
a quiz on.
It's not a big enough subject. We'll decide.
You always say that.
We'll decide that.
No, but we have to decide it now. Well, we have to decide it before the end of the show today. Otherwise, the independent quizmasters don't have enough time to put the quiz together.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have a quiz on something to do with Russia?
Russia?
Yes.
How about Russia then?
Well, Russia.
You want a quiz on Russia?
Quiz on Russia, if you like.
All right.
Yeah.
So does that mean nothing pre the Soviet Union?
Eh?
Nothing. I mean, now that it's Russia as an independent state.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Or would you like it on, the history of Russia and the USSR and all the rest of it?
I think we'll
modern
have
Russia.
It on. No, I think we'll have it on the.
You are an expert in Russian, though, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes,
because you're a sleeper, as we proved the other day.
No, that'd be ridiculous. Damn ridiculous. I think we should have it on the history of what is now Russia.
The history of what is now Russia,
including its communist days and all that kind of stuff.
All right, fine.
Don't you?
I think that's absolutely fine.
Okay, great.
Steve says, I have a social club and 2 pubs within a 5-minute walk of my house.
Really?
That's quite handy, isn't it?
Oh, I thought you meant that he owned them, but you mean he has access to them to go to them. Listen, let me tell you this. What it says is, living near a pub makes you happier and will help you cut down on your drinking.
Yeah.
The research by Oxford University, that's pretty impressive research, found that people with a pub nearby are significantly happier, have more friends, better life satisfaction and drink less. I think that's rubbish. The report for the Campaign for Real Ale highlighted the importance of face-to-face interaction. But I can't stand face-to-face interaction in pubs.
Yeah, but you're not normal, though.
Of course I'm normal.
No, you're not. You're not normal.
I'm much more normal than other people. The study conducted in pubs in Oxfordshire also found that pubs played an integral role in providing places where people could meet and make friends.
Well, that's true.
This is rubbish.
No, it's not rubbish.
You don't make friends in pubs.
If you go to any rural sort of haven, any village that you may or may wish to visit in this country of ours, I mean, most village pubs are full of people who know each other, right?
Yeah.
And you go in there, if you're a new member of the community, that's where you go to meet people.
Rubbish. When you go in, they stop talking.
That's not true.
No, they do. They're very cliquey.
When have you ever lived in a village? You've never lived in a village. I mean, you live in that sort of horrendous, concrete jungle down in Gosport, right?
No.
Which looks like a car park.
Don't be ridiculous.
You've got nothing down there that's anything like a community.
Absolutely picturesque, Gosport.
No, it's not.
It is. It's
It's
beautiful.
not. It looks like a bomb site.
Rubbish. It's beautiful. How dare you say about the people of Gosport? It's a beautiful place.
It looks like a bomb site. It's a horrible place. I don't know whether to say the word.
I mean,
it's got a very nice view of the Portsmouth Harbour. But I'm talking about when you walk down, the 10 flights of stairs, whatever it is that you get down to, and there's that concrete car park.
We actually have luxury lifts, in my apartment.
Well, maybe when the lifts aren't working.
Well, the lifts are always working.
You should walk up and down. You'd exercise yourself a lot better. But there's nothing down there. There's no kind of villagey atmosphere.
Oh, there is.
It's just a stretch of horrible new houses.
No, rubbish.
Horrible new houses.
What about the village nearby called Leon Solent, which is a beautiful village?
Is that the place right by
town?
the sort of where all the fishing boats are?
Yes, that's right. All that
we went to
place,
a pub there, didn't we?
Well, we went to Spice Island Inn, actually, which is Old Portsmouth.
No, I'm talking about before that.
No, it's old. Oh, yeah, we went to the Jolly Roger. Jolly Roger,
that was right on
back of the harbour.
That was on some water.
Yeah, but listen, what I'm saying here is, it says here...
But you've never lived in a village, is my point.
Well,
I have.
But I don't want to live in a village.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You don't know...
In a village...
Yeah, but you don't know what the pubs are like if you didn't live in
a village, I do. I used to have a caravan in Wales. I used to have a caravan in North Wales.
You had a caravan in Wales?
I did, yeah.
Personally?
Personally. I bought a caravan when I was 19. I had a caravan in Wales. It's because Wales. It's because I was still living at home with my parents in those days, and I needed a knocking shop opportunity.
Isn't that a bit far though from where they lived?
No, not really. Not really. Oh yeah, it was a drive through Wrexham and down into the country.
Yeah, well, how long did that take?
About an hour.
An hour.
I used to take my girlfriends there, you see, at the weekends.
Right.
And
did they know why you were taking them there?
Well, of course they did.
Right.
Of course they did. You
Okay.
know, the thing I was doing, like a nature walk.
Well, I don't know. I thought you might have said, let's go down the coast and have a nice day out.
It wasn't down the coast, it was inland.
So knowing you're the kind of guy that would have, quotes, run out of petrol.
No.
And suddenly gone, oh, look, there's
No.
a caravan park.
No.
Oh, I happen to have a caravan here. Maybe we'll spend the night here.
No, it wasn't on a caravan park. It was a caravan parked in the back of a farmer's field near a stream.
Did you have to pay the farmer?
Yeah, about £5 a month or something. It was very picturesque. And
what sort of caravan was it? One of
was-
those really small ones, I bet.
No, it was a reasonably sized caravan.
On 2 wheels?
On 2 wheels, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that
So,
kind of stuff.
no, it's like the size of one of those little ones you see people towing.
Yeah, that sort of thing. That's right. Yeah, but the point is,
How was it fitted out?
Oh, very nicely. You
Yeah.
know, had a big bed in it and all that kind of stuff. You know, had a
It
cooker.
could have had a big bed in
Had
it.
a cooker. You know, it did honestly. Yeah.
Did you ever cook anything there?
No, of course not. No, went to the local pub. This is the very point, you see,
Right.
because it was in a village near a place called Mackinleth.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and went to this village, and the minute you walked in, believe it or not,
Yeah.
people who were normal and speaking English started speaking Welsh.
Yes.
Right?
Well, that's North Wales for you,
Well,
though, isn't it?
exactly.
I'm
you
talking
know.
about English villages in the English countryside.
Yeah, so, but I wouldn't like to
I mean,
live
they
in a
used to
village.
burn cottages in that part of the world if
well,
English incomers came in.
well, they didn't.
When Plaid Cymru was a little bit more,
Yeah.
shall we say, aggressive than it is now,
Well, that's
they
right.
would burn the cottages of English people who had moved in.
Well,
They used to call them the cottage burners.
Cottage burners. Thank God nobody set fire to my caravan.
You're lucky they
especially when
didn't,
I was
actually.
inside it. Yeah,
You're lucky they didn't.
Anyway, look, the point of the story is,
Yeah,
you're
what
in
is the point of the
when you're
story?
in a village, everybody's looking at you, watching you, knows who you are, where you are. I mean, I've stayed in Cornwall a few times.
Yeah.
I stayed in Mousehole, which is beautiful.
Mousehole?
It's right on the edge of a harbour and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I stayed in an apartment, a flat above a shop on the corner.
Sounds lovely.
And I just couldn't breathe because everybody looks at you all the time. You
Really?
know, because
you're not just
local.
paranoid?
No, I'm not paranoid.
Well, I've lived in several villages in
Yeah.
England, right?
Yeah.
And Scotland, in fact. And every place that I've lived in, the locals have been very friendly. I mean, you
Yes.
might argue that they're a little bit too nosy,
Yes.
but, you know, they were very welcoming if you ever walked into the pub and they said, oh, you bought the house up the road there, because they always knew. And you went in and
Well, of course
you know,
they
it was
did.
very
That's what I'm saying. They always knew your business.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Guess what? This report also produced the latest tally on pubs in this country. The report said that pubs have played a key role in British life since the 16th century, but they had gone into decline in the later 20th century.
Because they banned smoking.
In 1951, you may be right, in 1951 there were 73,421 pubs.
Right. Is this in the UK or just England?
In England and Wales.
Okay.
But by 2014, that had declined to 51,900.
So that's by, what, a factor of about, what?
Well, that's
20%?
No, it's
A bit
more than
more,
that.
25%?
No, nearly 30%.
Really?
50 to 73, nearly 30%. Pubs continue to close at an average rate of 29 a week.
Yeah, I'm not
Well, I'm not
surprised with
surprised because some of them are really badly run. Now, what I was going to say
Well,
to
it's
you
not
was...
that they're badly run. It's just that they can't. The margin of profit that they can make
Yeah.
on drink is
Yeah.
so narrow now that many of them can't do that. And unless they can sort of supply food in a massive way,
Sure,
and entertainment for people,
Yeah.
then they just can't make any money.
But good pubs will survive. And
Well, no, it depends where they are. I mean, for example, I know that
Yeah.
in Scotland there was a big problem in a lot of the
Yeah.
areas, particularly in sort of, you know, not particularly high income areas,
Yeah.
where the pub was in the middle of the community, and a lot of the people smoked, and a lot of the older guys that used to go to the pub on their own and have a cigarette
Yeah.
and a few cans
Yes.
or a few pints, it's just stopped going.
Right.
So the pub couldn't make any money anymore.
No, and it closed.
Because that was their bread and butter.
But good pubs can
You know, they
thrive.
didn't make macaroni cheese
Sure,
and, you know, Sunday
sure.
roasts.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
could go there and have a pie.
Yeah, good pubs can survive, and what's more, new pubs are opening where areas demand them. For instance,
Yeah, they are.
The carvery that I use down on the coast.
Yeah.
Has
But that's not a pub, is it?
It is a pub.
It's a carvery. How's that a pub?
Well, it serves loads of alcohol. Loads of people go in there to drink.
But the point is, the reason you're proving my point. The reason it's being successful is because it's a carvery.
Well, it's adapted to modern life.
Right.
But the point I'm
It's
making
not a
is
place you go for a ploughman's lunch and a pint, is it?
it could be, and it only opened 3 years ago. It's called the Sailmaker, and it's it's a very, very nice establishment.
It's in
And so-
Toby Carvery.
It's Toby Carvery, and if they open more of those, more people will go to them. But listen,
I won't be one of them.
I found this other.
Look at
I found
the
this
time.
other report. Do you
No,
know?
there isn't time.
Why would somebody produce a report like this? Alcohol companies make an estimated £23.7 billion in sales in England from people whose drinking is ruining their health, according to a report.
Well, there's another report by this woman, the chief medical officer.
60% of sales are to those who are risking their health or people deemed harmful drinkers.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
And that comes from the Alcohol Health Alliance.
Yeah.
How mad is that?
Well, I'm sure it's not that mad because they're probably against alcohol. The Alcohol Health Alliance. They're probably not pro it, are they?
No.
This is Talk Sport. Loads more coming up.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The pressure's on now.
Relieve the itch.
To help.
Yeah, I'm here to help.
If you've got a problem that needs solving, or if you've got a quandary that needs sorting out, a dilemma that needs dealing with, you know what to do. You can tweet us at the Two Mics. You can find us on Facebook as well. Now, let's start off with a slightly longer question than all. This is from Jonathan on Facebook. Here's what he says. Dear Porky, I need your help. My friend James is under the thumb. All he talks about is his girlfriend. He devotes all his time to his girlfriend. How do I convince James to join us on a lad's holiday full of debauchery and hedonism this summer?
Yes. Well, my answer to that is I wouldn't bother trying to convince him. The point is, if the boy has got a lifestyle which he likes, if he's comfortable in the company of his girlfriend, if he's found that Valhalla in life that we all search for, and he feels at one and at ease with himself, leave the boy alone.
Okay.
You can't suddenly drag him out and say to him, hedonism is for you, because he probably doesn't feel that way. And remember, there's a lifestyle for everybody individually. Respect his.
Oh, that's very unusual, isn't it? Here's one from Carl, which is on Twitter. Have you ever done jury service? I'd hate to be the defendant in your court. Stealing lottery numbers? Hang him.
No, I've never done jury service, and the reason for that is that on the 2 occasions I was asked to do jury service, I managed to get a very senior member of the journalistic profession to write to the judge in the cases that I would have presided on the jury to tell him that as an outstanding journalist with a very wide range of interests, I would have known the details and the facts behind the case that was being tried, and therefore I would have been an unsafe juror because I would have been able to make up my mind on the facts which I gleaned from places other than the courtroom itself.
Yeah, and mostly journalists can get out of it anyway because they've got those kinds of jobs.
Exactly, I always got out of it.
Now, here's an interesting one from Kelly, slightly philosophical. Would Mike Parry like Mike Parry if he met him?
Yes, I think I would. I'd respect the boy for his fortitude, for the fact that he's had the sling and arrows of outrageous fortune thrown at him in life. Only 1/3 of his heart works, but what does he do? He looks at he looks at life. He laughs in its face. He spits in its in spite of its terrible travails that it's heaped upon him.
You don't spit in public.
No, I don't spit in public. No, I meant spat out. You know, I've chewed it up and spat it out. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
And yes, I would like Mike Parry because I think he's a man of great resilience and character, and he's an altogether good egg.
Now, this is a great question, this one from James. Porky, what is the biggest amount of trouble you found yourself in, and how did you get out of it? Try and keep it short.
It's too long, too detailed to get into. Financial problems, which I've had to resolve. Emotional problems, which I've had to resolve. Broken heart situations, which I've had to resolve. Job situations, professional situations, which have had to involve. Remember, we've all found problems in life. The true measure of a man is not getting yourself into problems. It's coming out on the other side and still being in one piece. That is what I've always tried to do.
Rob says this. Was Bill Gates impressed with Liverpool's new huge stand that you can see from Everton?
Bill Gates, in fact, went to Everton Football Club because of the work we do in the community. And it is outstanding. And it's all linked to sport, but it's linked really to giving something back to the community when you're a club that generates over £100 million a year, probably near £150 million. The answer is yes, Mr. Gates was very impressed.
Gareth says, who's going to win the Super Bowl? Sporting question.
I don't know who's playing in the Super Bowl, so I think the New England Patriots might be.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. No.
Denver Broncos are playing.
Broncos are playing, yeah. Gets very cold in Denver at this time of the year, by the way. Goes down to about -40.
Yeah. Super Bowl's in California.
Yeah, I know it is, so they can't always train in the mountains of Denver, so they'll have to go to California and train there. As for who's going to win, I know it's the 50th Super Bowl. To me, it doesn't matter who wins it, and I do think a lot of people in this country who pretend to be, great American football fans and, the Super Bowl, and have these stupid Super Bowl parties on a Sunday night. Let's all eat hot dogs and drink Budweiser. Come on, it's the Super Bowl tonight. They're just charlatans.
Yeah, OK. Now, would you have a quick interruption to ask Porky, because it's match point for Joe Konta.
Yeah.
So let's go over to Lisa O'Sullivan.
Yes, Joe Konta leading this second set 5-1, and is 30-40 up on the Zhang serve. So it is Zhang who is serving to stay in the match, but Konta nets with her backhand return, staying very deep in the court there, and Zhang really pushing her all the way back. A worried look, though, on the Chinese player's face, wondering what she needs to do to try and bring herself back into this match, because the Brit has dominated this second set. 5-1, and that game that Zhang has won was when Konta dropped her serve in that second game of this set. And
Lisa, you've managed to talk your way through to another match point. Well done. I was going to cut you off earlier.
I thought I'd try and give her the benefit of the doubt.
Well, it's better than Porky's commentary, I would say.
Konta has been absolutely superb in this second set.
Yeah.
She has
5-1.
pulled out all the stops. Exactly, and she's forced all the errors from Zhang Shui. And Konta really does have her own destiny in her hand.
Oop.
As Zhang
Back to juice,
again pulls back something special here. It really is
Lisa
digging deep.
O'Sullivan jinxes. We'll come back to you. That's 2 match points she's lost. Never mind. This one's from Amy. It says, I have £256 in my back pocket. How do you suggest I blow it?
Well, what I'd do is, Amy, I'd go and buy yourself a nice handbag, because apparently women have no shame in spending hundreds of pounds on a handbag. And in fact, there's a woman...
How about the Soho Hotel having 4 bottles of Chablis Premier Cru?
I'm going to ignore that. I didn't know I'd spent that amount of money, and I didn't find out till later. And I wasn't trying to boast when I put out a picture of my bill. I was saying how shocked I was at paying £20 a glass for a few drinks on a Friday afternoon after a week of hard travail.
Right, OK. How about this one from Peter? Porky, should I pay double to take my kids on holiday, or should I take them out of school to go on holiday? Price hikes are a disgrace. That's a big problem for a lot of parents, though.
Yeah, you should take them out of school whenever you want. I think more and more head teachers are coming round to the fact that it's such a captive rip-off situation for parents who all have to go at the same time, and therefore the laws of supply and demand, this is an economic problem, the laws of supply and demand dictate that if 10 times as many people want to go on holiday in the compressed 3 weeks or 4 weeks of August when they can, then the price doubles, and that's not good.
It's all over.
It's all over.
Let's go to Lisa O'Sullivan.
A fantastic performance by Johanna Konta, who was helped by the net cord at the end of the match there. A return from the Zhang serve and just hit the net and went over, but every point counts when it's in. And it is the first woman, the first British woman, should I say, to make a Grand Slam semi-final for 33 years. And this win will ensure that she's into the world's top 30 for the first time in her career. She really dominated that second set, and she goes on to face Angelique Kerber of Germany, who scored her first ever win over the former world number 1, Victoria Azarenka, earlier today.
Thanks very much indeed, Lisa. We'll come back to you in a little while. So, fantastic effort, that, into the semi-final.
Well, particularly as Chinese has got an awful lot of supporters in that stadium, because, of course, China's closer to Australia than Britain is. Although I saw a lot of Union Jacks being
there's a lot more people in the stadium
around
now than there were at the start of the game as well, because it was Andy Murray and David Ferrer coming up next. Now, here's a financial question for you. You like these from Isaac. Porky, given the collapse in the oil price, slowdown in China, strength of the dollar, increase in US interest rates, FTSE crashing, and the end of QE, do you think that we're on the cusp, if not already at the start, of another global recession? Will this lead to banks tightening lending and ultimately another crash in the property market?
Well, I think we've got to watch it very, very carefully. And I think this is where George Osborne now has got to show us all that he is a campaigning chancellor. A lot of those factors are worrying, but I do believe that the slowdown in China is a correction and not a slump. I also believe that the stall in the FTSE, which has been the worst in like 40 years, you had the worst January on the FTSE in about 40 years, is again a reflection of conditions around the world. I don't think there's going to be a crash. I hope there's going to be a crash. But what it does do is it keeps interest rates very low. So if you've got a load of mortgages and all that, you won't be paying a lot more money for the next 18 months at least.
Yeah. Jonathan says this: my wife insists on peeling fresh mushrooms and throwing out the stalks before cooking what's left, whereas I just wipe and cook them. Who is correct, or should I just buy them in a tin?
No, your wife is absolutely correct. I peel my mushrooms and I cut the stalks. Yeah, I peel them.
Peel what?
I peel the skin off the top of the mushroom. Yes. I peel the skin off the top of the mushroom. I cut the stalks down to almost nothing, and then I fry them in butter before I put them into whichever delicacy dish I'm cooking that day.
Right, OK.
Yes.
Understandable. Now, here's one from Andrew. Mike, what is the all-time favourite news story that you ever covered?
The death of Princess Diana, Princess of Wales.
Cheery.
I broke that news to the world 17 minutes ahead of Mr. Chauvin-Amont, who is the French Foreign Minister, coming out of the Élysée Palace and announcing it to the world. I'd already done it 7 minutes earlier because I was in touch with the people who were in touch with the Foreign Secretary, our Foreign Secretary, Robin Cook, who was in touch with the French government. And I tracked him all the way around the world to Borneo, I think it was, or Malaysia, and got the confirmation from him. It was a brilliant coup.
All right, one last final question,
yes,
as we're running late. With your vast knowledge, this is from Craig, of world medicine, with your journals, can you explain why there is still no cure for the common cold?
There's no cure for the common cold because it's airborne. And so, therefore, whilst you can protect yourself in many ways, you can put a mask on your face, you can stay indoors, the minute you go outside and get onto a crowded train or tube train or bus, you are subject to catching the airborne disease.
Yeah, maybe you should start wearing a mask. Loads more coming up, of course. This is the two mics. We've got lots more tennis to come as well. Andy Murray up next. This is TalkSport.
Enjoy bags of banter every Friday afternoon from 1 on the Falls panel with Hawksby and Jacobs on TalkSport. With Burton's Fish and Chips. It's the full flavour weekly feature for live debate, celebrity sports predictions and bags of tasty topical chip chat. The Falls panel, a satisfying portion of great British fun. Every Friday afternoon from 1 with Hawksby and Jacobs on TalkSport with Burton's Fish and Chips. Kicks hunger into the back of the net.
At BMW, we believe being connected to the world is as important as being connected to the road. It's why the new BMW 1 Series with Connected Drive keeps you in touch, informed, entertained and safe. With advanced driver assist, intelligent traffic updates, Spotify and more. All from behind the wheel. How more well-connected can you be? The new BMW 1 Series. Pure BMW.
Hello, handset claim.
Hello, I've lost my phone.
OK, how did it happen?
Well, it rang, but it was in my pocket, and I had my mittens on, see. It's so cold at the moment, I cannot wait till January's over. So anyway, I was struggling to get it out of my pocket because I had my mittens on, and then I did get it out of my pocket, but it slipped, sort of, out of my hand, and fell down a drain.
Did you sign up to mitten cover, madam?
January needs more good stuff. So Asda's got loads of products, all at £1. Like Young's Fish Fillets, Chicago Town Pizzas, McCain Jacket Potatoes, and Lloyd Grossman's Pasta Sauce. Not to mention Warburton's Thins, Aunt Bessie's Crumble, Flash Spray, and Sharwood's Balti Sauce. All £1 to help make January that little bit better. Asda. Save money, live better.
Selected line stores and availability. Chicago Town, McCain, Lloyd Grossman, Sharwood, Flash Wipes, End 3rd Feb.
TalkSport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
TalkSport.
A chevonement. Chevonement. A chevonement. Cheven. You want to check him out?
I will.
Chevonement. A chevonement. See, that comes up all the time, doesn't it? You listening?
Hey?
It comes up all the time.
I didn't know if that was still recorded when
Mr.
you said
Chevonement, neither did I.
It does come up all the time, yeah. It's amazing how often that is the case.
Yeah, why did we fail to celebrate Burns Night this week, considering that you're supposed to be of Scottish ancestry?
Well, we didn't particularly fail. I mean, the trouble was, by the time the show started at 1 o'clock yesterday, it was no longer Burns Night. I mean, Burns Night finishes at midnight.
Listen,
although, of course, if you're out doing a Burns Night supper, it can go on till the wee small hours.
Well,
but, I mean, I didn't think it was very prudent to bring in any whiskey to drink, because you're not a whiskey drinker.
I think next year, what night of the week was it? Monday?
Yeah.
So next year it'll be Tuesday, won't
well,
it?
It's quite often on a Monday night, funnily enough.
Is it? Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, it can't be, because it's not a week, it's a day.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that quite often people celebrate it on a Monday night for some reason. I'm not quite sure why that is.
Right, now listen.
What do you want to suggest?
Well, because what I found out was...
I mean, I could take you up to Scotland and have a proper Burns Night.
No, maybe. But what I found out was, this is great, because, you know, I did a... didn't I do a Porky quiz on Robbie Burns?
You did indeed. 3 out of 10.
No, I think I got more than that.
No, you got 3 out of 10.
Anyway, I was reviewing my information on Robbie Burns, and I found out a brilliant thing about him. Just when we became a famous poem, right? He used to go around Glasgow and get completely bladderated.
Yeah.
And he
was quite a drinker.
He was quite a drinker, and he used one pub in particular called the Saracen Head.
Yeah.
Now, have you heard of that?
The Sarries Head.
The Sarries Head, is it?
Yeah.
And where is it?
The Sarries Head in Glasgow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. I think it's near Charing Cross.
Near Charing Cross, is it?
So,
right,
yeah.
OK. But anyway, what he used to do was he used to go in there and people used to come in and talk to him. So he would just keep ordering drink from the bar.
Yeah.
But he didn't have any money.
Right.
So what he did was he invented his own seal.
Well, he'd often write things as well just for money so that he could drink.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. But he had his own seal. So what he'd do is, right...
What, like a pet seal?
No, you...
Oh, that kind of seal.
No, you idiot. You know, the seal of the family. The family seal.
The family seal.
He invented...
Have you got one of those?
No. But he invented the Robbie Burns family seal.
Right.
You know, the sort of thing that you put into wax in the old days, you know, and sealed. And this, you know, this.
I'm amazed you haven't got one of those. This sort of thing you would have.
No, this comes from the King of France or something like that. So he had one of those.
Yeah.
And what he did was, when the barman used to come, and he was bladderated and spread out all over the floor and said, "Where's your money, Robbie?"
Yeah.
He said, "I don't have any, but you can have my seal."
Right.
And then,
sorry.
And then they'd go and heat up a bit of wax.
Yeah.
And then he'd get his seal out of his pocket and he'd stamp his seal into the wax.
Why are you stamping a desk?
Well, because I'm illustrating how you stamp a seal.
Right.
And then that would act as an IOU for whichever.
Oh, okay. So he would say that because he'd made that mark.
Yes,
that
that's
he owed
right.
them X amount of money.
Yeah, but then
did he ever pay him though?
No, because then he became so famous that actually the IOU was worth more than the money that he owed the pub.
Right.
So he never
It was like
paid.
James Thurber's cartoons in Costello's, wasn't it?
That's right.
Remember
Yeah,
the James Thurber cartoons
I
up on the wall, which he left them.
Originals.
I think, allegedly because he owed them a load of money behind the
Originals.
bar.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What an unbelievable thing
Now, a
to
lot
do.
of people are still going on the Norfolk Broads scenario.
Right.
Mike says the Norfolk Broads do run into Suffolk, Lowestoft as part of it, called Alton Broad, which goes up to Norwich.
Look, Norwich is in the Norfolk Broads. It's in Norfolk. All I'm saying is the Norfolk Broads don't extend into Suffolk, and anybody who says they do is a numpty. You know, with a capital nump.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm certain.
People are being very descriptive about Gosport.
Yes.
Saying that it's really not a very nice place.
It is a great
I can't
place.
actually use the word that many of them are using to describe it.
No, it's not. It's
but
a
one
great place.
anonymous says it makes Bromley and Staines look like Cobham.
No, rubbish. That's utter nonsense. How come, right, and this is a bit political, how come Gosport is a Tory constituency?
I've no idea. Because the people vote Tory?
Well, exactly. But most Tory constituencies are very middle class.
Well, it might be middle class, but it doesn't look very nice. That's my point.
And most middle class areas are actually quite pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that working class areas are not. But I'm saying...
I think you're being very snobbish.
No,
again.
I'm not being snobbish. I'm
Is that why you live there?
There is a level of sort of, prosperity, usually
but it's not a
in the
pleasant,
Tory shires, and Gosport happens to be one of them.
We were talking about the village atmosphere of certain English country villages, and then that it is not. Whatever you may say, Gosport is not an English country village. It doesn't look like one. Well, it doesn't smell like one. It doesn't act like one.
Well, it does to me.
It's like a concrete breeze block of nothingness.
Let me tell you this. Gosport...
Where's the nearest bit of green to your apartment?
About 300 yards away.
And what is it?
It's a duck pond in a field, yes.
In a field?
Yes.
What, next to your apartment building?
Yes.
No way.
Yes,
I've been there.
Oh, yes.
It's next to the sea.
Yeah, it is.
There's no
but
duck
on that
pond
side, but on the other side, beyond...
On the other side of what?
On the other side of the road, down towards
I don't think so.
the...
The other side of the road is a load of new build houses.
No, it's not. No, you've got the wrong bit of road.
It must have been a Gosport to somebody else's
There's
apartment.
a playing field right opposite where I live, where Gosport... Boy Scouts or somebody play.
No, yeah.
But there's a sign there saying, Gosport Boys Club and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's definitely
right?
not a village. He types that
Anyway,
situation.
listen.
Never mind that. Rich says this.
Yeah.
You really are a dozy plank. No container port at Lowestoft. It's Felixstowe where the ships come from Rotterdam.
That's what I meant.
And Paul says the biggest container port in the country is in Felixstowe, about 70 miles from Lowestoft.
No, it's not.
Nowhere near Lowestoft.
Oh, rubbish. Lowestoft and Felixstowe are very close to each other. Now then, I wanted to tell you this. Gosport... in the last century, or the century before that even, so in the 19th century, was the biggest town in the world for two things.
Was it?
Yeah.
Go on.
one munitions...
Something to do with the Navy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One munitions...
Isn't the munitions factory still there, or the munitions dump or something?
There's loads of munitions factories still there.
I think you've told me about it. In Portsmouth, isn't there still
There's a museum called the Explosion Museum,
right?
And it celebrates the munitions history and industry, right. And it's right on the site where all the munitions factories used to be.
Right, but is there not also a big store of munitions there?
Yeah, there
well,
is.
Somewhere,
Yeah, there is.
Which is in part of the sort of Navy Yard.
Exactly. Or
but that's
Portsmouth,
Portsmouth, though, isn't it?
No, it's Gosport, honestly, believe me. So Gosport was the biggest centre for munitions in the whole of the world.
Yeah.
And the reason was we used to supply all areas of the British Empire from Gosport.
Right.
So boats sailing to Australia, to Canada, to India, to the Far East, to Africa...
Yeah.
They all took the munitions with them to supply the armies that controlled those parts of the world. The sun never set on the British Empire, right?
And what's the second thing?
Well, the second thing, more intriguingly, was press gangs.
Oh, yeah.
There were more active press gangs in Gosport. More people got kidnapped and pressed into service.
Very middle class.
Well, it wasn't in those days, than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So you took your life in your hands... walking into Gosport one summer evening, right, to see your girlfriend who lived on a farm on the edge of town. Because if you and she then decide to stroll into town to one of the 300 hostelries in Gosport, 300, right? There was one on literally every street corner.
It's always been a bit of a rough place then.
Well, it was a seaport.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not a bad thing.
It was as big as Portsmouth in those days, right?
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
So you stroll in and then you had a couple of pints, right? And then... all you'd have to do is make the wrong turn off Gosport High Street, and you were seized. And the next minute, instead of being
wake up on a clipper ship somewhere.
You would. Instead of being in the arms of your delightful girlfriend in the hay bales at her father's farm just outside Gosport, you know, readying yourself for a bit of Rogerisation, you'd find yourself in chains in the rat-ridden deck, the rat-ridden bowels of a British Navy man of war.
Yeah.
Right? How about that?
I know.
That's a bit of a shock.
Shocking.
And sometimes you can get back for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I bet.
And do you know where the expression up the creek without a paddle comes from?
I think you've told me this before, but tell me again.
It is Gosport Creek, where Hasler Creek, actually, where the Royal Navy Hospital was situated.
Right.
And men, they were so short sailors, right, men fighting in the Napoleonic Wars were taken there, and their limbs were sawed off, or if their limbs had been sawed off, they were taken there to be repaired with wood and tar.
Yeah.
And then you were pressed back into Navy. So up the creek without a paddle meant that you tried to escape in any way you could, and sometimes climbed down through the latrines into the creek below.
Latrines?
Yes.
Latrines, you mean?
Yes, to try and escape.
Right.
And you were so terrified, because what happened was, men in those days suffered terribly from, like, shell shock. Because if you were on a Royal...
post-traumatic stress, no
very,
doubt.
Very much so. If you were on a Royal Naval ship and you were on the gun deck... and a cannonball...
Pretty noisy, I would imagine.
Oh, well, I mean, you lost your sound instantly. But a cannonball from a Spanish ship or a French ship suddenly smashed through the wall next to you.
Right.
And...
is there much more of this?
Yeah, that would create 1,000 splinters of wood.
I've got something to tell you.
What?
I've got something to tell you which is far more important.
Right, go on.
It's about job interviews.
Oh, yeah?
Apparently what you say when you greet your interviewer is more likely to get you a job than, you know, anything you say after you actually sit down.
And what are you supposed to say?
So the first 12 words that you say to anyone,
right,
whether it's in the corridor as you're walking to the interview, whether it's to the receptionist, whether it's to the people that you first meet in the kind of work environment, that will determine, apparently, according to a new study from the Resurgo Trust, which helps disadvantaged people into work, that will help you.
Well, if that's for disadvantaged people, that's a bit of a weird one.
Well, no, it's not, because what they're saying is that, for example, kids who come from very middle-class homes and upper-middle-class homes, you feeling all right?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Will be able to actually have small-talk conversations much easier than kids who come from...
And what do they suggest the first 12 words should be?
Well, they talk about saying that, you know, you should... It's not a question of giving you the 12 words to say, but you should be able to be confident enough in yourself to be able to have a conversation with people. I know you're not big on small talk, so that's why I thought...
I'm not big on small talk.
I would raise it with you, because you're one of those people that hate small talk.
Do you want to know what my first 12 words would always be and always have been? When I'd walk in, I'd say, hello, Mr. Blenkinsop. He was the guy who ran the Daily Express, went up there.
Right.
I said, it's great to meet you. My name's Mike Parry. I can do a great job for you, and I will do a great job for you.
Right.
I just need the opportunity. Give me the opportunity.
And what if he turns around and says, I'm not Mr. Blenkinsop?
Well, I never made that mistake, did I?
Well, you might, though.
No, I never did.
But what about when you walk into the receptionist?
Trained observer.
When you walk in to see the receptionist tells you to sit down over there, do you have a conversation with her?
I never sit down. This is the whole point. It's about asserting authority. Whenever somebody says, "Oh, would you like to sit and wait?" I said, "I'll stand over there, thank you. I prefer standing."
Well,
I
see,
always
that's
say
what
that.
I mean.
That's,
But when you're in that situation, you don't have any authority, so therefore you're losing the battle, and that's why you wouldn't get the job.
No, I'm not losing the battle at all.
Because you're showing yourself incapable to get involved in small talk.
No, I'm not. I am.
Which is what this says.
I'm setting the terms of the negotiatory process, right?
Yeah.
You know Robbie Williams, when he went for his interview to be a member of Take That?
Yeah.
He read somewhere that he said the most important aspect of this interview, or any interview, because he'd been to loads of interviews for a load of jobs he hadn't got to be members of all sorts of groups. And they said the most important thing is eye contact.
Yeah.
He said, as long as you make strong eye contact, you've got a great chance.
That's true.
He said people who can't make eye... So do you know what he did? He walked in and stared in the eyes of the person who was interviewing him. This is the bloke putting Take That together.
Yeah.
God knows who that was, you know.
Right.
What was the name of the fella who ran him? He was a young...
You mean one of the guys that was in the band?
No, it was a young
Gary
northern
Barlow.
fella. No, it wasn't Gary Barlow. It was a young northern fella. I met him when we did a big spread on them in the sun and all that kind of stuff. He came in and nicked all the apples.
Well, you should remember his name more
But
than
anyway,
me.
the point of the story is, not only did...
You have to hurry you.
Yeah, not only did Robbie Williams walk in and never lose eye contact with the guy, when he said, right, thanks very much, and he left, he walked out of the room backwards and still never lost eye contact with the man who'd interviewed him. And he was told that's one of the reasons why he got the job.
Well, I guess in the rock and roll business, you can get away with eccentricities like that. I wouldn't recommend doing that in any other job interview, though.
Yeah.
Loads more coming
I
up.
would.
Thank you,
I would. Do it that
Mr.
way.
Parry. Coming up right now.
Be a winner. Be a winner.
It is time for the news.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
It's pretty empty, actually, isn't it?
No, it's not empty.
It is. It's hardly
it
anybody
is.
there.
Yeah, it is. I thought everybody was wearing green, but that's the colour of the seats.
No, that's the colour of the seats.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the light!